Hey, hey, hey. Here we are again. Robot voice not back already.
Hay una casa en ruina en
Unfortunately, I've been late a couple
donde
times in a row, so
nace
we haven't had the
el
robot voice
sol
back. But,
y que fue
yeah,
el
here we are
fracaso
again.
de
You
muchos.
know, it's nice to be back.
Lo sé,
Yesterday was pretty nice. Made some new friends. Hopefully, we'll do the same today. See what happens. Every day is a new page. Maybe,
mi madre
maybe someone in the general posted something really cool
vendió
today or tomorrow, you know?
mi nuevo blue
Like,
jean.
what the heck?
Mi padre fue
Maybe they'll post a podcast like, no, they didn't. Oh, yeah, yes, they did. They didn't put an image though, so that might be a little hard to find.
donde nace el sol.
But until then, it's just me. So here we are, you know, having fun. I went on a hike actually. That's why I'm sort of late. It was nice. Got to it was about 2 hours. Nice little walk, you know. Came back. I just finished my carrots that I got out of the fridge, baby carrots. Delicious. You know, you could actually drink the juice. Or not the juice. They're wet, so the water that dripped off them into the bowl I have. But it's good. I also have my dad's Coca-Colas. Hope he doesn't mind, but it's very nice. Very bubbly. Very carbonated. But yeah. This is 8 of episode 2, so we're definitely picking up some steam now for the podcast episodes. And we haven't had an episode where I'm just by myself yet, so maybe that'll be this one, maybe that won't be. We just gotta see. Fortunately, we might have a little hard show because this one isn't advertised as well, but it's alright. I've seen that a couple people watching the season 2, which is probably a good idea. It's season, Jesus Christ. Oh, hello. New person? You can't hear you if you're talking right now. Mr. Chad. I can't see the full name. Hangout sucks. I guess your mic's muted actually, so. Because you're not. Well, I just blew a bunch of dust in my face because I blew at the charging port for my phone with the case, and there's a bunch of dust in there. I just blew face to my nose. Jesus. That's fine. I'll deal with it later. You know, it's kind of funny, like, you used to blow into the cartridges for, like, the Game Boy Advance. But I think they found out that doesn't actually do anything. You're just spitting into the cartridge. So I guess it was always just kind of a superstition. Maybe Chad will join us, but apparently his mic is muted. No, I don't usually actually like drinking soda because it's really bad for your teeth. Oh. It won't let me use your mic because no camera. I don't have a camera. What lets me use my mic? What do you mean? What the fuck? You sure? Try turning on your. I don't know. Are you on mobile? No. Try rejoining. Just give it a... Yeah. Hopefully that works out for him. I don't... I've heard of that problem before. It won't let me use my mic because no camera. Your mic's unmuted now. Has it tried speaking? Hello? Still not working? You sure it's because of your camera? How do you get to conclusion that was because of your camera?
Okay, now it should work, right?
Oh yeah, there you are. I hear you.
There we go. Only took 7 hours.
You're a little quiet. Can you turn that up a little bit?
How is this?
Excellent. it's a little bassy, but works. There you go. Here we are. So how are you? Oh, we already got another person.
Hello.
How are you, Chad? And hello, Shadow.
I am, alright. How are you guys?
Terabad.
Oh yeah. What was that?
I said I'm Terabad.
Terabad?
Yeah, as in terrible bad, but both. So it's worse.
Oh. Why so? What's the trouble with you?
I'm a Sonic fan.
Oh. Don't worry. We're now we're beyond the halfway point. We're closer to the game being released than where we were.
How's that better? Now we have to worry about it actually not being good.
Well, you always got to have hope. How are you doing,
That's the
Shadow?
problem.
Oh, yeah.
That's the problem. Because I'm a Sonic fan, I still have hope. That's the problem.
You're still here?
The blue fucker taught me to keep having hope, and now I'm doomed to forever be trapped in this cycle of permanent disappointment.
Oh yeah.
And there's nothing I could do about it.
How are you, Shadow?
I'm alright. I'm having a good time right now.
Oh, what are you playing?
I'm playing with, the General.
Oh,
Oh,
There's some very boring discussions right now, so I'm trying to shit it up.
gotcha.
makes sense.
What are you playing in the background? What's your full name? I can only see the first 5 letters of your name.
My name's not important.
Chad, Chad, dot dot dot. Alright.
Does this use like Discord or something?
What do you mean?
Does this use like our Google user or something to like put our names up?
Yeah, use your Google account.
Okay. Because I didn't set up any. I've never used Hangout before.
Yeah,
So
it's just your Google account.
okay. Yeah. As for what I'm playing the supposedly only good game in this franchise according to critics.
Oh, it's Sonic 1?
Mania.
Oh, Mania. I only heard the springs and coins in the background. What zone are you at?
Titanic Monarch.
Oh yeah. So that was a little feels a little anticlimactic for the final level or final zone of the game, but um,
That's the weird thing. I don't think Titanic Monarch is anticlimactic. It's just the game doesn't lead up to it,
mm,
so it just kind of happens. It's like the level itself feels like like it's perfect as the final level. It's just there's no build up to it. Like in Sonic 3 and Knuckles, you have to go through Lava Reef, you have Lava Reef Act 2, then you go into Hidden Palace, then you go into Sky Sanctuary, and then you go to Death Egg. But like Titanic Monarch, you kind of just go from Metallic Madness, and all of a sudden you're here. It's like, oh yeah, we're at the end of the game now.
yeah,
You know?
it happens. It ends before you know it.
Yeah, you kind of just get into the zone. You're like, oh, I guess this is the final level. It
Hmm.
kind of just happens. It's like
And by the way,
that's like
hello,
one of my
Sonic.
bigger. That's like one of my bigger problems with Mania, which like I still tolerate it, but like Mania does have like a much weaker sense of pacing when it comes to like progression that way.
Yeah, makes you think of a Mania 2, how they would handle it.
Yeah, It's like even Sonic 1 was better about the pacing than Mania.
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely a lot of build up
To
to
the final, yeah, to
yeah.
final zone when you're fighting Eggman. You know, he sends you back down into Labyrinth Zone Act 4, basically,
Mhm.
and you have to climb your way back up. You know, there's a sense of like pacing and build up, and then you finally get to take him down. It was like in Mania, it's just like, oh yeah, we're at the end of the game now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, to be fair, I feel like a lot of Sonic 1's build up is kind of like artificial because it used to be that, or I guess it still is, no matter what version you play. If you die, you go all the way back to the beginning, and you have to do the whole thing in one run, right? Unless you don't, unless you know the
Well,
code.
that's what the level selects for,
Yeah, but
right?
I don't think anyone really knew about that back then. At least in my opinion.
I mean, I mean, I get it. Really, that's not an issue to me. Like the real thing that's an issue to me is the special stages. Actually, beating Sonic 1 to me like in one go is not unreasonable.
Yeah,
Like
I
I
don't
know
think
by
so. But I
like I
mean,
know by today's standards, no one will tolerate the fact that they're expected to not die when they play a video game. Gosh,
yeah,
but but like even then, I'm like, nah, you could do that in Sonic 1 and be fine. Like
yeah.
it's really just if you're going for the emeralds that it's a problem.
Mhm. Wait, how do you actually get? Oh yeah, you have to do the bouncy thing, right?
No, you have to do the freaking cute bag maze.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the maze, and you bounce around the
Yeah,
thing.
and to do that, you have to have 50 rings by the end of the stage, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah, which can be
Which,
a
like, I like that system. I like that system. The problem with it isn't the system. The problem is that you only have like 8 zones to try, so
Mhm.
you basically have only 2 tries to fuck up.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of pressure.
yeah,
I mean,
like you
I
don't
think it's my favorite way to do
like
special stage.
on paper I really like it because it actually fits with like the concept of the game, which like it's
Yeah,
the
like Sonic
play
2 is
well and
really
don't get
annoying
hit.
because you have to stop by every signpost to be like, oh,
Yeah, and that's annoying.
but then
Like
you,
that's actually annoying. Like sure you have more tries, but it's obnoxious. You have to like just kind of stop, dig around the levels because actually like drop them in random places instead of places that naturally fall into levels. Like they're almost not even checkpoints. They're more
yeah,
just like things in of themselves that you have to find. It's obnoxious.
yeah. I never really, to be 100% honest with you, I never really got the idea that um, SA3 or not SA3, Sonic and Knuckles 3, where Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and all
Hmm.
the 2D games should be about exploration. I feel like it always kind of went against.
Oh no, that's like one of the biggest like myths in the
Yeah,
fandom.
it never really seemed to fit in my opinion.
No, quite frankly, it's just a narrative created by certain groups in the fandom to try and put other games over the others.
Yeah,
That's honestly what it is.
I feel like
Like,
if you can't really have exploration and a timer at the top. It just doesn't
no,
really,
exactly. I always bring that up. It doesn't make any sense.
especially I think in old games it was like 10 minutes was timeout, right? And you had to start over.
Yes, 10 minutes, and then it was a straight up like time over as well. So like
Yeah.
it wasn't just like well you died and you go back to a checkpoint. You went back to the beginning of the stage,
Hmm.
if I remember correctly.
Yeah, yeah. I think yeah. It's almost like you
Yeah,
lost all your lives.
yeah. Well, not all your lives, but like you went back to the beginning of the stage. No, was it all? Yeah, I think it was. It's just that Sonic 3 in particular, you had the save function.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I
yeah,
think.
like the levels in the classics, they're not designed to sit around and dig in them. Like it doesn't even make any sense to do it. Like you're not getting anything out of doing it. The only thing you're going to find is more lives and rings, and the only thing rings get you is more lives
Well,
and
3 and
opportunity.
K has the
The
special stages.
elemental shield. Well, like the special, yeah, well, like that's the thing about the special stages. Like the thing about the about exploration in the classics, it's not that it doesn't exist and it's not important. It's that it's overstated. That's the real problem. It's
Yeah,
like it exists to add depth to the game, but it's designed in a way that you're doing it as you go along, as opposed to literally scouring the levels for each and every one. Like they didn't design it with the idea that you're playing it like it's a sandbox game. They designed it like
yeah.
as you're passing along, you notice something, you follow that hunch, and you go in and then get out. Like it's designed with that kind of forward momentum in mind. It's not designed like, oh well, we're gonna pretend we're playing Mario 64. We're looking for all the special. No, it's really not. So whenever I hear people go on about exploration, it's like okay, but like it's there, but it's not like the main thing of the game at all. Like it's there and it's there to supplement the main gameplay to make it more interesting. So that way, for one thing, like it makes the ring system more meaningful because now, at least in Sonic 1 and 2, because now you have a reason to not get hit. Because that's one of the things about the ring system is that the game needs to give you a reason to not want it to get hit. Otherwise, the ring system basically just makes you invincible. So the game has to incentivize you to like actually play well. One of the ways they did that, I'm going off on a tangent, but
No, it's fine.
because I'm doing a lot of research because I plan on doing a video series
Mm-hmm.
going over like the Sonic series, and particularly challenging a lot of like things that are just taken for granted in the fandom as common knowledge, but is never really challenged. And one of the things I ended up finding out when I did the research is that the whole reason the Chaos Emeralds were even in, like the special stage system was even introduced in the first place was just to like actually make it so like the ring system didn't trivialize the game because like you had to give the player a reason to want to actually hold on the rings and collect them without getting hit. Otherwise, the game would be too easy. You just get rings, you get hit. Okay, well, I'll pick my rings up and keep going.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing because it incentivizes you to keep going. But at the same time, you need to give a reason to the player to actually give a shit why they're losing their rings.
Yeah.
So that's why the Chaos Emeralds exist. It's purely just that. It's just to give weight to actually getting hit.
Mm-hmm.
So like whenever I hear people going about like exploration, it's like yeah, but it's not because that's what the game was designed around. It's designed in assistance to the actual core game, which is playing the game well, going fast, like like they advertised it.
Yeah.
Oh no, you don't understand. The advertising was all a myth. It was a lie. They didn't understand their own game. Fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Freaking tired of hearing this.
I mean, I can understand. I played SA1 fairly recent. Actually, not fairly recently. I played a while ago, but it kind of surprised me. Like, I feel because in the Tails story, in the Knuckle, or actually the Tails story, it's a race, right? So you have to race Sonic. But I feel like that would be like the one place where you would put exploration other than Knuckles, right? But
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you're right. Because, when you think... But, like, the thing about that is just, like... And I always bring this up, is that this is why I don't actually like Tails' gameplay in Sonic Adventure 1.
Yeah.
It's because it's just Sonic's gameplay again, but you skip over all the levels.
Yeah.
Like, in theory, like, yeah, flight sounds like something you use for exploration. But at the same time, it's like, the only way that you actually make that interesting, then, without it feeling weird... Because, like, the actual exploration gameplay had to go to Knuckles. It just made more sense for his gameplay because he can actually climb and he digs and stuff. So like even in Sonic 3, he was like the more exploration focused one, like just between the two. Whereas Tails' flying was more just, well, it makes the game easier because you could just kind of fly over shit.
Mm-hmm.
So like from that perspective, like it's clear to me like what the idea behind Tails' gameplay was in the SA1. It's we're just gamifying the whole Tails follows Sonic thing around. How when you play in Sonic 2, Tails is following you.
Yeah.
So it's like they're just taking that and gamifying it. It's like, oh well, you get to play as Tails and you're chasing Sonic. Except to make it an actual game, you have to beat him to the goal. It makes sense that way.
Yeah, it's definitely was a nice idea. It's just that it really came out like they were just padding it, which I guess isn't necessarily a bad thing, but
it's just like about like my two main gripes with Tails' story isn't even the story. It's just that one, you repeat all of Sonic's story modes too often, which is just people go on about like Heroes, so you have to play the game 4 times, but like Tails' story is basically Sonic's story again.
Yeah.
And 2 is that a lot of Tails' gameplay is just Sonic's levels, but you fly over everything. Mm-hmm. So it just ends up like the only level I found even remotely interesting was Speed Highway, because I find that level does a bit more with the space you're given. Yeah, but even then, I
was about to say, like Speed Highway, you kind of have you get to utilize the flight mode more often.
Yeah, like I definitely give Speed Highway that. But even at its best, it's not so compelling that I'm like, yeah, I need this back in every single Sonic game. Like, it really isn't.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a very much a gimmick, you know.
yeah, like it's like this is one thing I'll give '06 credit for is that the way they implemented Tails' gameplay in that game was like probably the way you should go about it. You know, instead of having it be its own story, you have it be certain sections of like Sonic's story. That way, it just becomes like a change of pace as opposed to the entire
Yeah,
gameplay.
I mean, in my opinion, I think the best way would just be sort of do it like how Mania did, where it's just the same story, but you can switch out characters and maybe have a different end level or unique level. I mean,
I
obviously that
mean,
isn't the preferred, but I think it's the most realistic, you know, for
I mean, like, I get it to an extent, but like the problem with doing that is that especially in 3D, it's much harder to do because like the main problem with Tails is flight, and like and why like Tails' gameplay in SE1 is the way it is and Knuckles' own isn't, is because they knew when they made Knuckles' gameplay that like Knuckles' gameplay would just break levels. Like I don't understand why people that didn't come like this. It was so obvious to me even when I was like 8 that I played like Sonic Adventure 2 for the first time. Was I 8? I think I was maybe 11. Anyways, it was so obvious to me like why Knuckles had to be like more exploration based gameplays because if you could just glide around and climb all the walls, it just breaks the game.
yeah.
Like it's just obvious. Like
Hmm.
that's why in Heroes, you know, Knuckles and Tails are so heavily nerfed. You know, Knuckles his glide is so slow, he needs fans. He can't even climb walls, and Tails can only fly fixed distances now.
Yeah,
You know, so it's like because the whole thing is that once you're in a 3D game, like those things just break the game.
yeah.
Period.
Well, they
Like
break.
it's not even just a Sonic thing. Like you could argue they already broke 2D
Hmm.
like in many respects, but it's like it's not even just a Sonic thing. Like even in
Yeah.
Mario,
I mean, definitely
like I,
in even in I guess it was 3 and Mania, you could Tails, you could just fly over the level with him, and
yeah, like I always bring up like for example like Knuckles and Sonic 2. If you want an example of how broken Knuckles' kit is in a game that's not 2D and
hi
specifically
Sunny.
designed around him, then play the Knuckles and Sonic 2 attachment when you put Sonic 2 and Sonic and Knuckles.
Hmm.
And you literally just jump on top of a loop and you glide all the way to the end of the level as Knuckles and then Emerald Hill. Like you literally do. It's actually dumb. So yeah, so, like that's obvious to me why Knuckles was changed to be a treasure hunter because it just better uses his kit. Like because you have two options: either you heavily nerf him and then ruin the point of why people like him, or
Hmm.
you give him gameplay that uses his tools. So like to me, it's like don't get me wrong, I like Sonic Heroes, but like to me, it's like Knuckles' gameplay was like probably the best direction to take him.
Yeah.
Although, yeah, like if you just want to like actually flesh out Knuckles' gameplay, that's probably like the correct way to go about it.
Hmm.
But yeah, but whereas Tails was like Tails is an example of more like what happens when you just take that character and put it in the levels designed around the character. But anyway, that was a tangent. Back to my main point. The reason the idea of just design make one game where all the characters just play through it is because then you have to design all of the game's levels around all of the different characters,
Yeah. Well.
and that causes problems. Because, for example, like let's say they designed all of Sonic's levels in Sonic Adventure 1 after Tails instead of Sonic, right? Then one problem is that you already have to severely restrict the levels because now you have to like put giant walls everywhere so that way Tails doesn't just fly off the edge of the level and just jump over tons of set pieces. And now you also have to like manage like camera angles and like restrict like how windy the levels could be because you don't want the walls that you put up to clip through the camera and shit. Like
Yeah.
just from a technical perspective, it's already just a giant hassle.
Hmm.
Giant hassle.
I definitely hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I know I was talking about being realistic a little bit ago, but
Yeah.
what I'm saying is like I don't think it's really. I mean, even if you just made like 6 zones with 2x each, you could still make a very tight game that would be worth $30. And you can look at, and I know I'm comparing apples and oranges here, but like if you look at Sonic Robo Blast 2, they have like 5 characters, right? And they all still. I mean, obviously there's some broken things, but they still all work in throughout the main story.
Roboblast is a game that I think is fine for what it is, but it has a lot of its own issues.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there. I really didn't like playing through Robo Blast, but at least the later half of it. But
Like
think-
for one thing, I'm not a fan of how its camera controls
oh
versus
yeah,
how you
it's
control your
it's a very
character.
slippery game. But
It's like you're jittering back and forth all over the place. Like people will make fun of like the speed sections and like Windy Valley in Sonic Adventure 1. You know how he's like bouncing against the guardrails.
yeah,
But like Robo Blast is like, oh.
I mean it's definitely. I mean it's definitely unpolished, but I mean if you can imagine like that game, like on a professional scale, like with QA testers and I don't know anything about game development, but what I would assume would be a professional team, I think it can definitely be fleshed out and definitely a lot more. I guess a game that's worth $30, you know. But how is everyone
I
else
don't know.
doing?
I don't know. Like maybe, but the question is like, is that what people like? Because this is another thing. I don't know how long you've been on the board on the 4chan board.
I've been on for like 6 months, I guess.
Damn. Okay.
No,
Well,
or
I think it was
actually
either.
7. Yeah, 7's a good number.
I don't know if it was like 3 days ago or 2 days ago or 4 days ago. Anyway, there was like a post made about like it was something blah blah blah. Sonic's been bad since 1998 or something blah blah blah. Anyway, there was a reply made that was basically like, because I made that post. It was basically along the lines of, okay, can we stop measuring the quality of Sonic games based on whether or not it's as successful as Mario or not?
Yeah. I'll be right
'Cause
back, by the way.
Is anyone else there?
So, yeah. One thing I think people comparing Sonic to Mario isn't good because they're very different. They really should. The only reason they're even compared is because of advertising, the console war stuff.
Yes, it's just that stuff. It's like really like
I don't.
like I don't even necessarily have an inherent problem with it being done in of itself. It's more the reasons and motivations behind why it's done. Like you can compare Mario with anything just from a critical standpoint, just for like general feedback. But most of the time when people are doing it, they're purely doing it based on success because they're trying to make it a dick measuring contest. When it's like that's not what Sonic needs right now. Sonic needs to focus on just being a good series. Like we don't need to worry about whether or not it's as successful as Mario. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Especially since a lot of Mario success is about making the games extremely sterile and approachable and friendly.
As bland as possible.
Thank you.
Making sure that anyone who gets their hands on the franchise knows what they're doing.
Oh my god, she's been roboticized.
So, and also, I think the blandness of Mario is on it. It wasn't really always there.
No, it absolutely wasn't. It happened, I want to say, roughly in the mid 2000s.
I want to say after Sonic 06.
Yeah.
It might be a crazy schizo theory, but I think 06 actually affected Mario a little bit.
What do you mean by that? Like it showed like this fear of like trying to be too different and go against the grain.
because what was the last Mario games to do it? What, Mario Strikers, Mario Galaxy 1, Super Paper Mario?
You know what?
Those
You're
were all
absolutely
around.
right. Yeah,
Those
you're
were all
absolutely
around
right.
the same time as 06.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
right after that, poof.
Yeah, Mario just became like this stereo. Like he's just a brand now. Like he's not even a character. He's just a brand.
And now that the RPGs are dying, it's just...
Yeah, you're right. You know,
Mario.
the more I think about it, the more I think you're right. I think Sonic 06 bombed so hard it's spooked Mario.
Odyssey was not safe. Okay, honey, just let it be real.
It kind of was.
Odyssey isn't a bland game, but I wouldn't say it's not a safe game. People were basically bitching about wanting a new one for like, well, since 3D Land came out on the 3DS.
Because outside of like New Donk City, most of it's just like standard
Generic
Mario
level.
stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like New Donk City is the only thing that's like trying to play with lore or anything. Everything else is just.
I just like that it has that Sonic feel, where like at least it has like distinct looking locations, and that's something that y'all don't see from Sonic very often. And I'm just very happy that, we got like spaces with names and world building. I mean, okay, maybe it's more like Sonic, which is what I was gonna say. Maybe it's not safe, but it's definitely more of what people came to the Sonic adventure games for. Or even the Sonic games in general, because everyone loves those distinct zones. I'm not saying people are using them. But that's my point.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong, like I definitely miss back when the series was actually trying to like, build a cohesive world and like build on like locations and stuff that mattered that you remember and stuff, as opposed to now where it's very much trying to be extremely safe and bland.
But
Like,
when
yeah,
was it ever having a cohesive world? It was always kind of wild and crazy. And it just
it was wild but cohesive. It was like, yeah, everything is wild, but like there's always a sense of like where things are in relation to each other. Like especially like in the 2000s, there was like always an emphasis
Yeah,
on
maybe
like
because
in the
all of
2000s, but in the 90s, Mario had like no
the
cohesion. It had
90s.
the
no,
same
all of
problem
one took
Sonic
place
had.
in like you could see like the progression of the world as it went on.
Yeah,
Like it
like
went from
Sonic One was like all on South, like especially like the Game Gear even had like a map, so it's like you even like saw like South Island how it looked. You saw where like Labyrinth was in relation to like Green Hill. You saw like Scrap Brain is literally on top of Labyrinth. That's why when he sends you back into Scrap Brain Zone Act 3, it's literally Labyrinth Zone Act 4. It's 'cause
well,
it's
I thought
literally
it
on
was like the normal labyrinth is underneath Starlight, and then the corrupted labyrinth is underneath Scrap Brain.
No, like all of like yeah, it's like 'cause from what I understood, it's like Starlight itself is kind of like the entranceway into Scrap Brain.
Yeah, like the outskirts.
Yeah, exactly. So like all of it is on top of Labyrinth, and like because like he put Scrap Brain on top of that part of Labyrinth, that's why it's like that.
Yeah.
Like like it's something that I feel like
And then 2
back in
had
like
West Side Island, 3 had Angel Island.
yeah, especially Angel Island. Angel Island does the best to make like a cohesive like world with it. But like yeah, like the reason I feel a lot of people like they miss out on like how like cohesive and like well thought out like the classics are is one part because well a lot of people don't read manuals. but also
There was two role Bibles. And then the TV shows and the comics did their own thing. So I'm not really surprised.
I mean like yeah, that definitely had a factor in it too, but like also the English manuals actively like removed a lot of this stuff. Like the Japanese manuals like went out of their way to like even more so than like
They tried to build a little bit of
Is it
world
just
building.
Remember how mutilated Knuckles' chaotic story got?
oh my god.
Wasn't that just the ending though? Oh, the bad ending?
No, like in the manual. In the
Yeah.
manual,
Never mind
they
then.
just
like so much stuff is missing in the English like Tails is being a smart inventor is just not even in the manual at all. Like nothing is talked about how Sonic and Tails actually met beyond just oh well Tails likes Sonic and he's following him. That's it. It doesn't talk about how like they formed a bond or anything or like how he found Sonic under his tornado. Like it doesn't even mention the tornado. Now that I think about it, like
No,
What were
I
you
was
saying?
just saying, isn't it just a running joke that most people don't even read the manuals, or like people just kind of like just skip through like tutorial talks and
yeah, like
the
that's
beginning
just
part.
yeah.
So
That's just
I don't know.
yeah.
I guess
it makes me
people
wonder
just,
what it would be like if instead a lot of the lore was unified from the start.
Yeah, like I can't like
I feel like the
Across
series
the
would be
world.
a lot of different.
yeah, like I can't help but feel that a lot
We
of
got
vision
Sonic
and fan base
basically
really
tried
comes
to do
down to
that.
stuff
So,
like
Wait,
that.
wait,
Mostly.
wait.
would it really be that different? I mean, we got Sonic Adventure, which basically tried to do that itself.
No, because here's the thing: like when Sonic Adventure came out, for a lot of people, that just ended up being like basically like Crash Mind Over Mutant. They saw like a reboot of the franchise.
Which is
Just-
funny because neither of them are actually reboots.
Exactly. But like that's my point, though. It's like
Character design different, therefore reboot.
yeah, there you go. It's like
I
so.
really like Coco's design. I think I don't remember which one it was. I think it was not. I think it was.
Mind over mutant. The one with the goggles?
No, I like the one where she has the headband, the long hair.
Oh.
I don't know which one that was, but I really like
Titans.
that design. I
But
think
yeah, a lot
it
of
was
people.
one of the Radical Entertainment ones. That's at the time they had Coco just changing her design like every game. Whatever. Y'all keep talking. Sorry.
And anyway, like a lot of people saw like the Legend of Spyro games where they just kind of saw like this reboot of the franchise because to
Well,
a lot of
those were actual reboots.
no those were actual reboots, but like for like I imagine a lot of people because my first game was Sonic 2, but like I was born in 1995, so whatever. Like
Yeah.
I played it on the Genesis, but like I
Millennial.
didn't. I played it on the Genesis, but like I didn't grow up with SAT-AM. I grew up with Sonic Underground.
Oh,
So
yeah. It's funny. I grew up with Sonic Underground, but we didn't have Cartoon Network. That's the only reason why.
yeah, so
I had
so
I had Adventures, SAT-AM, Underground, and X. I
Mhm.
watched
yeah,
all, so it was.
like I actually watched more of AOSTH than I did SAT-AM because like I can't remember when, but I think a few years later they like randomly started running reruns where I lived of AOSTH, and I was just like, wait, what? I've never seen this
Oh,
Was
before.
it on like Disney
two people
Channel?
do that.
No,
Two
no,
people
it was on. I'm Canadian, so it was on.
Oh, okay.
So it was on Teletoon. Although we did have
Oh.
Disney, kind of, but like only on Saturdays on ABC.
Mm-hmm. That
But yeah,
makes sense.
so like there was a point where like we had like reruns of AOSTH. I was just like, what the heck's that? Why? What's with the weird chicken and drill robot? And why are they calling him Robotnik instead of Eggman? I haven't heard that name since I was 3.
Mm.
But yeah, so like for me, it's so weird seeing like this huge disconnect between people that grew up with Sonic in the 90s and people with the 2000s. Because I grew up with all the 90s stuff and the 2000 stuff, and I never thought there was this huge disconnect between the series.
Okay, but like I always wondered, like why was there a disconnect? I mean,
it, it,
people were calling Bowser Koopa for a while, and people were calling Peach Princess Toadstool. So I didn't understand why Mario never had this problem. No one out there complaining about Mario's first 3 events and changing up some of the character names and stuff. But
and that
Sonic, man, people have all
yeah,
that problems.
and that's a massively good point, and I think it comes down to 3 things. One is how Mario was marketed in the West was extrinsically as like a game, and like all the other media was just like supplementary. Whereas Sonic was marketed as a media icon, like just like a media
As a
franchise.
character.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like Mario was like, play the game. Sonic was,
Yeah.
look at this guy, play his
Yeah.
game.
Watch his show, read his comics, buy his toys. Like it's the same
Yeah.
problem Pokemon has. Like literally the same problem Pokemon has. Pokemon was marketed as a media franchise as opposed to just a game. It's like you have a lot of people, they know Pokemon mostly through the anime, for example, and they come into the game.
Yeah. But unlike Sonic, they try to keep the anime like similar to the games. They try to keep the games in line with the anime.
To be
Whereas
fair, the X was like a lot of it was just reimagined, like just like word for
Yeah,
word.
Sonic X was a lot more like, but like the difference is that unlike Pokemon, Sonic had
I would actually say X is pretty close. Was a pretty, decent
Yeah, I mean
adaptation.
that's
So
the
I
thing.
Yeah.
don't really
There's a
look.
lot of-
Yeah.
yeah, like it like straight up rips a lot of stuff straight from the games. And
yeah, that's the whole
like
thing.
while
is
it while it
marketing for
while,
like SA2 and 1.
yeah, like and while it's still its own continuity, it's still like pretty faithful to them in a lot of. It actually like elaborates on some things from the game.
Yeah,
But,
they
like-
came with like Mr. Smith and all that.
Yeah, Mister.
Yeah.
Oh no, there's actually unused dialogue in Sonic Adventure that is actually used in anime. It's Beeps on Windy, I think, has a video of that. But
Oh yeah, like
I don't know. I guess
there's this one unused clip in Sonic Adventure 2 where Shadow goes and Sonic, so I finally get to meet you. We do look alike. That was used in Sonic X, but it's not in the actual game, even though the file is actually in the game. But yeah, like what it comes down to is that the difference is that Pokemon was the anime was designed with the games consistently between the English and Japanese. But it wasn't like that in Sonic. When Sonic came over here, the Western guys made their own continuity and lore about the series. And then when Sonic Adventure came around, they went to use the Japanese lore. So that's where the disconnect exists.
where in the American law or any law, why is the humans thing such a problem? I mean, I don't know if I've ever known any law.
It's
That had a
literally
problem with-
it's literally just because of the difference between the Western and Japanese lore, in my opinion. Because I mean, even then, not really. I think it's strictly just a Sad AM and Archie comic thing. Because even AOSTH,
I know that if you look at the Western Bible, it never says that Eggman's the only human. It never even tells you that. So it's like it's really just an Archer Fleetway thing.
it's really just the Archie, Flitway, and Sad AM. Because even AOSTH had humans. Like I remember, like the Christmas Blast. Like the entire premise of that is that
Katella was one. Was a perfect example.
Exactly. So it's really just the Sad AM thing because I guess Sad AM was like extremely popular. So for a lot
I
of
think
people,
also part of it is people were like sort of like discounting AOCH, like people who think humans bad are like discounting AOCH because it had like so many weird creatures in it, like hot dog creatures.
Yeah. Yeah, like I think a lot of people just kind of discounted it as anything worth taking seriously. They just kind of saw it as silly nonsense and it's worth like disregarding. Whereas like Sad AM took itself more seriously and therefore represents a concrete lore, I suppose. I guess that's.
I'd argue, from my opinion, the irony is Azoth is much closer to the source material.
Oh no, I 100% agree. AOCH is way more consistent with the actual source material. Whereas Sad AM is basically, I mean, like, from what I did research on, Sad AM actually started as like a completely unrelated show to Sonic, and they just kind of retrofitted Sonic elements into it.
The irony is that even if you use that and you're using that for a human's argument, Sally was originally a human, so it doesn't even work.
Yeah, she was literally a human originally.
And then the character that Roegnick replaced was Roegnick. Was like a wizard.
Yeah, it was like an evil wizard. Like it was like it's funny when I looked up those documents. I'm just like, why does this remind me of the freaking Zelda CDI game?
That's kind of like the thing at the time.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Like that was kind of the thing at the time. Yeah. But yeah, like what it comes down to, like I always bring this up. It's like the biggest thing you can do to have division in your fan base isn't to just have a bunch of different continuities. It's to have a bunch of different continuities that are all good. Because that's the thing I think it is that Sad AM was good. I mean, I haven't watched enough of it to make a hard opinion on it, but from what I can tell, it at least had a strong cultural impact on people's perception of the series. Very strong one. So much so that the comics kept going with that continuity well before it probably had any right to.
You mean long after? Honey, you mean long after? Right too.
Yeah, because like every other comic from that was going on with this, like Fleetway, Sonic the Comic, those all ended, but like Archie kept going with Sonic. Like it went. When did it die? It died like what? Couple years.
2016.
Yeah.
2016.
Yeah.
Like that's a long time. Like didn't it have like the record for longest ongoing comic? There you go.
Yeah.
The longest video
game
comic, you know.
Yeah. So there you go. So it's like that had a huge.
Actually, that's debate. I'm going to debate that because there is one comic that is now beating that record, but it only counts if y'all count. It only counts if y'all count. What's that word? Y'all count manga because Super Mario Kun actually lasted much longer.
Kun.
Okay.
Super Mario Kun.
I'm from Texas. I don't speak Japanese.
All right.
Yeah, he even got the Mario's that was even in Mario Maker as a costume.
Oh, so that's
I mean, it's funny, but if y'all count manga, then suddenly Sonic doesn't win, and his rival still beats him. But yeah, I mean, I guess for Western comics, Sonic counts, but talking Japanese, I would argue Super Mario Kun is still ongoing. It's been ongoing since 1993. So.
Okay, well, if we're counting American comics then. But my point still stands, is that that's probably what it has to do with it. Like, if, for example, let's say once, like, Sonic Adventure 1 came out and the comic just stopped then, it probably wouldn't have been an issue. It would have probably just been seen as a relic from early 90s times when people were
like the Super Show.
Exactly, like Super Mario 2. like no one argues about Super Show being canon at all. No one like argues that. Oh, well, actually, to be fair, no, there are people that argue Toad is an actual character, so I take that back.
Wait, but
I mean,
well, and the
It
Super
does
Show
no,
went on
reflect
for
it.
like a while, didn't it? Like it went up to Mario World.
Yeah, did it go to World? I thought it just
Yeah,
went
it
to
got a. Yeah, it did the. It was split into 3 different series. First one was based on 1 and 2. Second one was
2,
based on 3. Third one
3.
was based on World.
Oh
And
yeah,
added
you're right. There was
Yoshi.
the
Like
Yoshi.
dinosaurs
Yeah,
and
you're
shit
right.
like that.
You're right. You're right.
Cavemen.
But yeah, but like even like I guess you could argue like some people still argue Toad should be his own character as opposed to literally just being a species. So
Well, he
Mm,
is in
mm.
the games, isn't he?
Not really.
Yeah. There's
It's
Toad
more
the
like
character, like Toad the
Like-
Toad and Yoshi the Yoshi.
You
Those
mean
are
the
like
no Yoshi is a consistent Yoshi, but like Toad is like because there was the Yoshi games that had a consistent
Yeah.
Yoshi. But Toad is like I feel like if anyone treats him as a character, it's either because of the Super Show or because they compartmentalized in their minds that every Toad
No.
they play as in spin-offs is the same one.
the Toad is the red Toad with the blue vest, because all the other Toads, the red Toads, all have red
no,
vests.
wait a second.
But there's multiple
Is he a
red
character? He's
Are they?
Captain Toad now. He's Captain Toad now. So isn't he a consistent character?
If you want to say Captain Toad's a consistent character, yeah. But I'm talking like just regular Toads. Like
No, because we already know that because we've seen that Toad be replaced with a blue Toad. So we know that
Yeah.
character's not
No,
consistent.
it's still the
Yeah.
same Toad, I think, though, isn't
no,
it?
like in Mario
he just-
1. In Mario 1, whenever you go to save the princess in another castle, you save a bunch of different Toads. They all have the same design. It's not
Oh yeah.
they're just a species. It was never a single character. It's always like this is before like even Mario 2. Like Toads have always just been a species. Like there were the
Well,
mushroom
the Mario
people.
wikis.
We knew that from a manual.
Mario Wiki is made by
Bowser was- The
show.
Mario
Mushroom
1 manual-
Planet.
The Mario 1 manual was talking about Bowser turning Toads into the brick blocks in the first
You want to talk? You want to talk like dissonance between continuity and how Mario can get away with things, but Sonic can't. In the original Mario 1 canon, the Koopa Clan were a bunch of evil wizards that turned all the Toad mushroom people into bricks, and they needed to save Princess Peach so they could undo the curse.
Doesn't Mario break
Yeah,
all the bricks?
Bowser doing magic.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh.
In the lore, the idea was that Mario breaks the bricks because the mushroom people are giving him like rewards in their last sacrifice.
It's only the question blocks, because they give him the mushrooms.
Yeah, and the
I
flowers,
think
and the
that's
coins,
what I.
and the coins,
Yeah, that's what I took.
and the points
Yeah.
whenever he bumps his head on them.
So if it was made today, would there be like Toads popping out?
No, like that. All that stuff's been scrubbed from the lore.
Yeah,
All
but
of it.
how
I
many
know.
people
I'm
would
just saying
actually care about
hypothetically, if
that?
Yeah.
Mario 1 was made today.
They probably would. They probably would have. Maybe, probably, honestly. But like that goes to show like how much Mario could get away with, because the reality is, unlike Sonic, where Sonic was a character with like a series of continuity and stuff, and that's what people were mostly invested in. Mario is just a game. Like Mario is just a symbol of good quality game I can buy and
Yeah.
expect to be good.
Because I don't know. I can't really say that there's like a lot of actual Mario fans. There's probably just
Well, there's a
people
good
who just-
subset of them.
Yeah.
Like, Yeah, they
Like with
exist.
Paper Mario brought in a lot of them.
Well, yeah,
The
definitely.
RPGs actually have dedicated fans, but when it just comes to
Yeah.
Mario in general,
Yeah.
most people just care about Mario as a brand as opposed to just as like a series to be heavily invested in.
Yeah.
And that's why like that's where you get the difference between Sonic fans and Mario fans. Like Mario fans will talk more about just how well the series is successful as opposed to like caring about the intricacies of the lore. Although you do have some fans, you do have some fans that like go talk about like the lore about like particularly like when it comes to like stuff like Galaxy, you know, like Rosalina and stuff.
And involving like Wario and stuff like that.
Yeah, stuff like that. But when it comes to just, like even in Mario's
That's
series,
why they made.
go ahead.
That's why they gave like spin-offs to all the Mario characters so that they could be a little more creative while keeping Mario more sterilized, right?
I don't think that's the
Well,
reason.
just
No, the reason
part of
is just that Nintendo doesn't. It's actually playing the safe role. But Sega does. Here's the thing: if Sega wants to, they have a lot of IPs, and they could have given all of them to different Sonic characters. But
Yes.
instead, they made a bunch of other IPs that kind of die out: Space Channel 5, Fighting Vipers, let's see, Virtual On, which I guess got a new installment, but Virtual On, Billy Hatcher, like a lot of those games.
Well, that's what
If it was
happened with
Nintendo,
Silver,
they would have.
right? Silver was
I
originally going to be his own IP, and then they
Yeah,
decided to
yeah,
turn
that's
it
true.
into a side Sonic thing.
What a shame.
I mean, like personally, like my personal opinion on that is that like, if theoretically if '06 was successful, then yeah, he probably could have carried his game.
No, I
But
mean like before they made Silver as a character, his gameplay was going to be its own IP.
Oh no, yeah, that's true. It's true.
Oh,
Sonic TXT.
I
Oh
didn't
Yeah,
yeah, it
know
they
was.
that.
said that was going to be a thing. And they
huh.
decided to implement it in '06.
I thought that the whole idea with Silver was just that like a lot of other new characters, he was just made to like show off the engine of the game because you know
Oh,
that,
he
that
was, but Sega was gonna make an entire game to show off Edge, and they decided, like with a Nintendo kind of idea, that they was just gonna go make it into a side content for
okay,
Sonic game.
okay, that's interesting.
I mean, to be fair, they kind of the same thing as Sonic Adventure. Sonic Adventure was all built to be
Yeah,
a bunch of different like show off the power of Dreamcast, so Sega probably wanted to recreate that.
yeah,
But the
Text
point
modes.
is that
There are a lot.
Sega could have been like, instead of Sega being like Nintendo and making a bunch of Sonic spin-offs, instead they just kind of make a bunch of IPs and kind of discard all that.
yes, exactly. Like Sega just kind of like makes a game that's a new IP. Okay, we forget it exists now. Let's make a second game that's literally a new IP that plays the same now because we forgot the first one existed. That's Sega. You know, they make like freaking Afterburner, and then after they make like Panzer Dragoon or whatever, it's just like they have like 3-4 different like space shooters that are all the same, and they
Well, Sega, the only reason we're seeing Sega's IPs coming back is essentially because they ain't making that.
yeah,
I ain't joking. They're basically just giving out the IPs for indie devs to use. So
yeah, but yeah, like I mean, we could talk a whole hour about how like a bunch of different Sonic characters could carry their own spin-offs just fine. Like,
Yeah.
the better question I'd like to know is which Sega IP actually worked well being a Sonic spin-off instead of an original IP.
would what work as a little spin-off?
In other words, instead of for example Virtual On being its own IP, could have been a spin-off that existed. Could Space Channel 5 have been a Sonic spin-off? Could Billy Hatcher have been a Sonic
I
spin-off?
mean, it
Could
Not
Lucy
those.
King have been a
maybe.
Sonic spin-off?
Space
Probably
Channel
not Lucy King.
Space Channel 5, I think it works best as its own series, but I think you could make a spin-off clone that's a Sonic game that's just Space Channel 5 and it'll work.
Wouldn't that like piss off like the couple fans that are into the series though?
Yeah, probably like the Space Channel 5 fans, probably, yeah. But I guess they'd probably be split on it. Half of them would probably say, wow, this should have just been Space Channel 5 Part 3.
Mhm.
But the other half would probably say, wait, this might be our chance that Sega might actually have regain interest in making a sequel to Space Channel.
But even then, it would probably still have Space Channel 5 stuff in it.
That too,
'Cause-
you're right.
Perhaps,
Because Ulawa
yeah.
was in Riders.
Yeah, Sonic Riders had a bunch of other Sega stuff.
Billy Hatcher should have been a Sonic game. I mean, there's rolling physics. It's all about eggs. I mean,
What would he push?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think Billy Hatcher works fine enough.
Maybe like a
Yeah.
different character, but
Yeah,
that's another
like-
set of characters, I guess.
Because they already have Sonic stuff in it. You can like hatch Sonic
Sonic,
Yeah.
and his
yeah.
friends.
Like, I'm fine with Billy. Like, I mean, like, because with that whole argument, then, oh, Super Monkey Ball should have been a Sonic game. Oh, it's literally
actually,
momentum.
But
I mean, to be fair, I mean it could have been a Sonic game. I mean, they did create the balls first, and then decided to put a monkey character in there.
And
later.
Sonic is
Yeah.
playable in Banana Blitz HD. Classic Sonic.
Yes? I
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah,
know
you
that.
In the HD version, you can play as classic once you beat the game.
It's like, ultimately what it is that I see how the rolling physics in Billy Hatcher and Super Monkey Ball are used as being ostrinsically different than how they're used in Sonic. In Sonic, it's more just to facilitate forward movement and incentivizing continued movement. Whereas in like Super Monkey Ball, it's literally the entire gimmick of the game. It's just
Billy
bounce.
Hatcher uses it as a gimmick. It's not really used for like level design. It's used as a gimmick. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. You're right.
Yeah. You know, it's like it's a thing in the game, but the game isn't really designed around like that's another thing. Like when people talk about like the momentum physics in the
Yeah, they
game, it's like,
kind of overemphasize it.
yeah, it's like it's a thing in the game, but it's not just about whether or not it's in the game. It's about what's it's for. Like
Well,
in the
if people bringing up Billy Hatcher, it's mostly because Billy Hatcher, at least
Well,
compared to something like modern Sonic games, like the current Sonic games, Billy Hatcher gets momentum physics better.
I
Gets
mean, like,
well-known momentum physics better, which is
and-
the point I'm making.
I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I love me some Billy Hatcher. I'm still upset we don't have a Billy Hatcher 2. God, please, Sega, please make me a Billy Hatcher 2. Like, Jesus Christ. Why wasn't it on the freaking Wii? Or the Wii U? Like, come on. That's just begging for... Anyways. Like, trust me, I get... But, like, my point is that, like, for example, like, a lot of the time how the physics are used in the classics, it's more just to facilitate, like, rolling through speed sections, or like being used to like go through a ramp to get to a higher or lower route, or like you use it to like jump on top of a thing. But like most of the time you're not doing anything super intricate with it at all. Like most of the time it's more just about the flow and feel of the game, because you know you have to build up speed, therefore you're encouraged to maintain your speed and therefore maintain flow. It's less about like how you use the momentum and more just how it makes the game feel to play, is what I mean by that.
Yeah.
Whereas like Super Monkey Ball, literally the entire gimmick is like the momentum. Like you're balancing your character over a stage that you literally move around. It's like that's what I would call like a momentum rolling physics game. Whereas like with Sonic, it's more like a means to an end as opposed to the gimmick of the game.
Mm.
Sonic is about speed through momentum, not just momentum.
Exactly. That's how I would put it. But anyways, I think we went on a massive tangent. What were we talking about before?
Mario?
Right, Mario. Continuity Yeah, so yeah, Toads were actually just the mushroom people, and like, they just made one of them a playable thing, and I guess because there was a playable Toad in Mario 2 and the show, people just kind of created like this idea that it was meant to be a specific character when it's
Maybe
just
it pisses people off, but I don't really know how to feel about having like enemies as like a character. And I'm not talking about like Paper Mario, but just having just a regular old enemy as a character. It's just kind of...
Honestly, I think it's fine as long as they're like the only version of that enemy. Like if they have a bunch of Toads and just one of them is like a character, then it's weird. But if in like Kirby 64 there's only one...
Oh, yeah, like the one Waddle Dee. My headcanon is that Waddle Dee ended up Bandana Dee. That's my headcanon.
Yeah, that's pretty much
Birdo?
confirmed, because in like...
There's one
Because in
Birdo, right?
Adeline's trailer in Star Allies, that Waddle Dee is replaced by Bandana Dee.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, I remember that. Because then that makes sense. Like, that makes sense why he would stand up from the rest. Because like he was the only one that like trained with like to actually become strong and.
Sorry, you guys saying that there's one character that's a Waddle Dee, but there's a bunch of them, kind of like Toads.
Yeah.
No, it's like
Kind of.
there's this one Waddle Dee that like kind of like went through like measures to like stand out from the crowd and become noteworthy among.
And then they gave him a bandana to make him even more notable.
Yeah, and then after that
makes
they gave
sense.
him a spear, so he could actually he gave him a spear so he could have like a unique fighting moveset. So like I guess you could say like that's like what they did with Captain Toad if you want to go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Now
guess the
Bandana
thing
Dee is like the Luigi of the series.
Yeah, except Bandana he's like the Luigi of the series.
I guess just the thing is that like a lot of like the Mario characters, it seems like except for Toad, they just kind of they kind of
Birdo
yeah.
Birdo was a recurrent enemy in Mario 2, but now it's one.
But
now
Do we
But,
really
like, that's-
see Birdo that often?
Like, because that's the thing. What I was talking about before when I say like why people associated Toad as a character instead of just an NPC, a series of NPCs, is that there are more Mario spin-offs than Mario games.
Yeah.
And
I think part of it's confusing because they call him Toad. Like in some games, they just call him Toad. They don't call him a Toad, they just call him Toad. as his name, so
I
it's
guess-
weird.
I guess it's like a
There's
Pokemon
also a
thing.
Toadette, which
Fucking Wario Woods.
which also
Oh,
makes
yeah.
sense.
Oh no! Oh,
It doesn't do that.
Toadette is different. From my understanding, there is in fact only one Toadette.
Yeah.
It's like a Smurfette thing.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Toadsworth as well.
Yeah, Toadsworth is like actual character, but like
R.I.P.
Toad.
Toadsworth.
Yeah,
He hasn't appeared in like
that freaking pisses me off. Toadsworth. Can we
hasn't
talk about
appeared
how,
since Dream Team.
can we talk about how it's funny how the one Mario game that actually tried to like have like continuity and story got shat on specifically for having continuity and story? Like,
Yeah.
like
Which
Rip
one?
Which
Sunshine.
one?
Oh,
Sunshine.
Like, I remember
Because you could, like, the whole world was connected. You could see other levels in the levels.
yeah, and like
Right.
there was like an active effort to like create like narrative like that was actually worth a shit and like
Well, I,
you
I,
had,
forget, I forget who did it. Yoshiaki Koizumi was that he's the one who's all responsible for that.
oh my
Miyamoto
god, get
certainly
him.
doesn't like him.
No, Miyamoto is like, no, make my game just game, nothing special to you.
Man, I just remember when like everyone used to love Miyamoto, but
I don't hate
obviously-
Miyamoto. I don't hate Miyamoto at all. Like, I feel
Have you
people
heard
are
that
really hard on him.
rumors? Like, there's that rumor that there's like a committee in Nintendo trying to keep like branches separate, so there's no crossover.
Like, what do you mean by that?
Like, so that Waluigi couldn't appear, so that like spin-off studios can't like go overboard like they did in like the 2000s.
Oh, like basically like
So
the
it's
Sonic
like
mandates,
Tupac?
but for
It's like
basically the
Tupac?
Sonic mandates. Basically the Sonic mandates, but for Mario. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been a thing for a while. Like, in fact, I'm pretty sure the whole reason Sonic has these now is because they ate them off Nintendo. But that's a discussion for another time. But yeah, like that's why like the actual branches of Mario that do have passionate and dedicated fans are all flipping their shit right now because like Paper Mario and like the Mario and Luigi games, like now they're all getting neutered because of all these mandates and shit. They're
You-
going in.
Do you think that like certain
And you know what's funny?
Oh no, let her finish.
No, I was just saying. Do you think it's gonna be like a whole big different topic? Kind
It's
of.
fine.
No, I
Well,
was just.
you know what's
Go
funny?
ahead.
Crash shows that you can still be successful while being like super crossovery and fan servicey.
Yeah,
Because the last
that's
few
what
games have done really well, pretty much.
Yeah, like I
Right?
like the whole thing where like Coco's playable in Crash 1 because she goes back in time from Crash 3.
And Nitro Fueled has everyone. Like,
yeah,
ev-
they
pretty
even
much
have
every
chicken
Crash
stew,
character.
They have like
Wait, hold
Oxide.
Hold up. Is
Mega
my
Mix.
girl Nina? Is my girl Nina in Crash
I
Nitro
believe
Fuel?
so.
Yeah. They have Yaya Panda, who only appeared in a mobile game beforehand.
I don't even know who that is.
That's how obscure characters they pick from.
Jesus Christ! Like I know Nina. Nina's my girl. Like I like Nina.
Hey, you know what's another thing that's funny is that wasn't she in Crash 4 when the new Tawna has her gameplay?
Yeah,
Like,
when I
they
saw that, I'm just
they
like,
just-
wait, why not just have Nina then? Like really? What the heck?
Because she's a bad guy?
But like Cortex is playable anyway. Why not just have Nina?
Good point. Never mind then.
Like, just have Nina. Like, why are we pretending Nina doesn't exist? Like,
Well, she appears in the game, like as a cameo.
that's even more dumb. Let us play as her.
Yeah,
She was like one of the best parts of Twin Sanity. Like, what the fuck?
yeah. She
Yeah,
pretty
I-
much established herself as a main character,
Yeah.
and now she's just gone.
I was just saying that, like, are there any, like, more examples? No. What I was trying to say is that, that are people, doing more, like, collabs, not collabs, but crossovers, or are they kind of, like, separating things nowadays?
Oh, you mean like between different series in general?
Yeah, I suppose. Like, if they have, like, I'm trying to think of, like, some examples.
Like Mario and Sonic, the Olympic Games.
No, well, not like a collab. I meant, like, in their own, like, franchise. Like different elements. Like, if so they bring, like, something that's on the TV show or something from the books, and they put it, like they...
I can't
But
think of another series that would have anything. I mean, I guess Pokemon technically referenced Ash with Ash Greninja. That's about it.
Well, technically, Penta Penguin from Crash originated in a manga.
Huh? Okay, there you go. That's an example.
And also, I was gonna say another thing with Ash. You can get Ash Pikachu hat.
Yeah, that thing. Fucking Pikachu can't stand that rat. Anyways.
Like 7 different ones.
Yeah, I remember that stuff was in the data of Sun and Moon. We were all wondering, okay, when are they going to release it? And it took them until now in Sword and Shield to put it in the game. It's just like, damn. What the hell? But yeah, like that's about it. Like when it comes to like, if you're talking like different continuities for like different media and the same kind of IPs, like for example, like let's say you were to have, I don't know.
Kirby brought in stuff from the anime and Mass Attack.
Oh yeah, there was that one time in Mass Attack where you had Escargoon. Yeah.
Yeah, and the octopus from the anime appears in Star Allies as one of the artist moves.
Huh.
Like
Okay.
he can draw the octopus and then it shows up.
Yeah, because I was just saying that I did notice that, like, I'm trying to think, like, if it's just a coincidence or I'm just, like, being ignorant, but I don't know if, like, nowadays more people are, like, really into, like, bringing, like, different elements all into one, or, like kind of like cameos, but, like, permanently entering them into, like, their main,
I think I know where this is going, and I'd rather talk about a different subject.
No, I actually don't know what you're talking about. That's okay.
It's fine. Well, like, I wouldn't say there was a particular trend of it in general at all, no. It's just kind of a thing the developer will do on a whim once in a while. I mean, like, we had Spinball where we had, like, the Freedom Fighters in there, so... Although, to be fair, that was because it was made by STI, and they were
The
riding with the
Fighters
American...
in a Sonic game?
It's
Spinball...
like cameos.
Yeah, like,
Oh, I didn't know.
Spinball wasn't even made by Sonic Team, it was made by the Western division. We're all just using the Western continuity, so maybe that's not a good example.
Same with Mean Bean Machine.
Yes, the
Right?
same with Mean Bean Machine. It was using ALS.
Because it's just a localized version of Puyo Puyo.
Puyo Puyo, yeah. It's like, maybe those don't count. Trying to think of a better example. Oh, well, I guess Knuckles Chaotix is an example, because before Knuckles Chaotix, Charmy was only in the manga.
Oh, and Chris appeared in Adventure DX on a
Oh
poster.
yeah, there was on the Adventure DX. There was that poster in that one town mission. There you go.
And Styx appears in the Olympics and Runners and
you're
Sonic
right.
Channel.
Yeah, there you go. There are examples.
Well, I mean, Styx is originally... Wait, no. He's not a game character, never mind.
Well, she was designed by Sonic Team.
Yeah,
Oh.
but she was made for Boom, so
But the show, not the actual games.
no, she was in the
Oh,
games.
She was?
I think.
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't
she was
know.
in the Rise of
Yeah, she was
Lyric,
playable in Shattered Crystal,
but she was only an NPC.
and she
in
was
Rise
an
of Lyric.
NPC.
Yeah.
Yeah,
From what I understand, she
you
was
like gave
supposed
her
to be.
crowns.
From what I understand, she was supposed to be like an unlockable 5th player, but you know, Boom ended up a rushed mess. So.
Thanks Wii U.
Is it the Wii U's fault, or is it just Sega's fault for not telling them what console the system is supposed to be on?
Yeah, both,
Probably a
kind of,
little bit
maybe.
both.
Oh my god.
And you know what's funny? This kind of the same thing happened with 06, because the Wii, so they had to like split the team in half to make secret rings because
Yeah,
the
'cause
Wii
they
was so
didn't know
underpowered.
Yeah, they're just like, wait, what? The Wii isn't powerful enough to run 06? Oops, I guess we're gonna have to make another game. Like, what the fuck's sake? When did the Wii come out again? 2006? 2005?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2006. I was probably like 12 at the time. I could have told you that 06 wouldn't run on the thing. Like, Jesus.
Didn't the thing start before they got like the Wii specs?
That doesn't make sense. They would
No,
have
I mean
had
like they started development on the other consoles, assuming the Nintendo would be able to run it, and then when they saw the Wii, they were like, "Uh-oh."
That doesn't make any sense. Like, why would they have the specs of the 360?
No, I mean like, I don't.
because like the Wii came out after the Xbox 360, but before the PS3, to my knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the information should have been out there to them. Like, it doesn't make any. It's just Sega being incompetent.
Yeah. Probably. I was just trying to make like a more sense of.
I mean, like it's easy to want to think sometimes that there's a more logical thing behind it, and trust me, I like to always assume that there's logic behind it that we don't understand more so than just they're incompetent. But when it comes to things like, for example, like the GBA port of Sonic 1, like that's just incompetence. Like that's just inexcusable.
Why did? Oh, it's 2006. I thought like the GBA was kind of like on its way up though.
That's the worst part. There was no reason they should have even made it. Like the DS was already out. They advertised the fact that it was playable on the DS at the back of the box.
Oh yeah.
Like the DS was all like Rush was already out to my knowledge. So like they literally released the GBA version of
And then
Sonic.
4 years later, they made Sonic Classic Collection for the DS.
Yeah. So it's like, not only did it have no reason to exist, but it had no reason to be as bad as it was. To my own knowledge, the reason it's that bad has something to do with the fact that they basically ported all the assets of like the level design and code from Sonic 1 and but put it in the Advance engine. So it ended up just fucking with the game.
So what happened with Chronicles?
Chronicles was it's a whole other massive thing. Chronicles is a sad story because I actually like Chronicles. I struggle to call it a good game, but I like it.
I enjoyed
I was
it,
really
but I
excited
stopped.
for it.
Chronicles is a game that like I feel like even with all its faults, I can enjoy it up until you get into the Twilight Cage, and then it all just kind of drags.
Yeah, I was enjoying it, and then I got like partway through Metropolis, and then I just sort of stopped. I don't remember why.
Yeah, like the game has a lot of balance issues. It doesn't explain its mechanics that well, and depending on how tolerant you are of touch mini games, it can make and break your experience with the game.
Mm-hmm.
But also, the game just has very poor production values all around. But like, as for what happened with that game, it's a mixture of time constraints, shitty budget, and also like copyright issues involving the soundtrack and shit.
So I can't remember the time where I don't think I was like all that into the community. But I don't remember like I thought I kind of remembered like some people being really interested into it, like the fact that it's like, oh, it's an RPG, oh, it's made from BioWare, so it should be really good or something like that. But
Wasn't it done like a side?
Sorry, you blanked out there. Hello?
No, I can still hear it. I think he just blanked out.
Yeah.
Or he muted himself by accident, maybe.
Or maybe someone got him.
It's been
Oh
taken.
no.
Bitcoin assassin.
Anyways, like the thing with the game is that like one thing I'll always say is like the people who like wrote the game clearly knew and understood the IP and loved the lore and shit. Because like there was stuff in that game that like I didn't even know at the time when I played it, and looking back at what like going back when I went back to play the game, I'm just like, oh shit, yeah, I know this now. Holy shit, these people knew what they were talking about. Like, you know, they go all the way back to like all the stuff. Like, there's a connection in that game to probably every Sonic game in the series, pretty much, or at least like all the important lore dating back to like the first game. Like,
When did that
you know,
game
it goes
come out?
2008?
sometime like that. I think it came between Rush Adventure. I think.
Wait, is my mic working now?
Yeah, it's working.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, you were saying?
Okay. I don't remember because my mic blinked out, and then I forgot what I was going to say.
Something
About Chronicles?
something about Chronicles.
Oh yeah, wasn't it done by like a side team at BioWare?
Yes, like the guy who did it, like how it got the idea for the game got started was that there was a guy at BioWare specifically that pitched the idea to Sega, a guy at Sega, like not even Sega themselves, like a guy at Sega, because he personally thought it would be a cool idea. So like it wasn't even like the heads of BioWare to do it. It was like it was very clear like a passionate guy that wanted to do it. Like he was like, "Yo, a Sonic RPG would be so sick. Let's do this." So like he brought the idea to them, and then after he was given like a small budget, and
The guy's name is Cookie. That's kind of cute.
but yeah, so it's like
Yeah, Cookie Everman and Jay Turner, I guess.
Yes.
The writers.
and those guys very clear. They like not even just like the main series. They like obviously like love like also alternate media because like there's even like there's another example like there's like references to like some of the Western continuity like
They had
They have-
SWAT bots in it, even though they had a completely different design.
yeah. Although like they
And
do-
Cosmos Plant was there.
yeah, exactly. Like there's like references to, like a bunch of like different side continuity stuff in it as well. And like they like put it in they like explain it in the game with like reasons like for like like the reason Eggman's using these SWAT bots is because his forces are all down from the last time Sonic and Co beat him, so he has to use old models. Get it? Old model. And I was like, that's kind of like the kind of continuity crossover I could get behind because like there's like a tasteful way of doing it as opposed to just kind of shoving it in. Like, hey,
That's so
look,
sad.
yeah, it's like that. Like you mentioned that Cosmos flower, for example. Like like it's just a nice little nod. It's there. It's enough for like the people who are longtime fans to get it. But it's not like they're trying to revolutionize the continuity of the series or anything. It's like it really makes me wish that that Chronicles got a sequel because with a better budget, you could tell like that game could have went places. Like it had like a good battle system. Like the lore was all good. Like the setup, like the whole thing with like the ancient echidnas, like Dr. Gerald, and like with the Gizoid and all that stuff. The Master, they used the Master Emerald. When was the last game they used the Master Emerald?
That did happen.
Rivals? I
Yeah,
think.
I think Rivals was the last game to actually use the Master Emerald.
And then in Rivals 2, they did this dumb thing where, like, Knuckles is like, where's the Master Emerald? Rouge is like, I have this Master Emerald radar. We can look for it. And it turns out at the end of the game, Rouge had hidden the Master Emerald in the radar. Like, the radar breaks, and then boom, the Master Emerald pops out.
Fucking
What a twist.
What a twist! But yeah, like they use the Master. Knuckles gets a lot of love in that game. Like holy shit! Like after all the shit that guy's been like the late.
Doesn't it kind of feel like a Knuckles game?
In a lot of ways, it is, and it kind of has to be because the game is so heavily focused around the Echidna lore. It doesn't make sense not to. Like you have to. Like the entire premise at the beginning of the game is that Knuckles got kidnapped.
And then when he shows up, he's beating them up.
Yeah, like Knuckles gets so much love in that game. Bro.
Yeah.
Mans deserved it. Mans deserves better. Like Chronicles writes Shadow way better than he's been written in the last 10 years. Holy shit.
Especially what with 06 did to Knuckles.
Yes, oh my god. Knuckles is so freaking
He was so dopey in that.
just
He couldn't even carry a card.
like I get it. He has like boxing gloves, but Jesus Christ.
When he falls, he lands on his head.
Even though he's the one guy who can glide. And the worst part about that scene too is that isn't Sonic the character who has like the running joke of face planting?
Yeah.
Yeah, like shouldn't he be the one that face plants and everyone else lands on their feet? But no, they made him freaking Aladdin.
And Knuckles is the only character who doesn't end a level.
Yeah, you're right.
Because
Like-
he has a victory animation, but it's completely unused.
I mean, maybe there's an argument to be made that he would have had an ending level that the game was finished. Because like that's another thing about 06. Like a lot of
But you were going to originally be able to play as any character in any level.
really.
Yeah, there was going to be a free mode.
Oh, okay. I can see that.
And Metal Sonic.
Metal Sonic. That's an interesting. A huge part of me wishes that 06 was finished. We'd be in a completely different timeline where Sonic was at least respected as a series.
I actually like kind of the heat we get, Kind of like that we're kind of the outcasts.
I guess there's kind of like a rebel aspect to it, befitting of a character like Sonic. But like at the same time, it sucks because now people are predispositioned to go into a Sonic with expecting negative things and not giving them a fair chance. I feel.
Why do so many series have that one game that goes completely unfinished and like
Like the difference.
Sonic has 06, Crash has Twinsanity, Rayman has Rabbids 1.
Like, I mean, like the difference with Twinsanity and the '06 though is that people love Twinsanity in spite of the fact that it ended up in its state. Whereas '06 is seen like the dark harbinger that.
I think that's probably because Twinsanity decided to just cut as many stuff as it could in order to be at least.
I
They
think
only used the good stuff while 06 tried to be big.
I think I kind of get what you mean. It's like Twinsanity is a mostly consistently well polished and stable mess that's only you could only sometimes see the cracks in it. Whereas '06 is like a spread thin, unfinished thing that you can kind of see where all the good ideas would have went, but none of it's actually finished.
Yeah, because in an interview they said they had a ton of stuff, but they just didn't include it because there had to be a point where you had to stop and just polish what's there.
Yeah.
Did they use all those elements again for the newest one?
Some stuff, I guess, like the concept of like alternate dimensions.
Hello, honeys. I'm back.
Oh yeah.
Oh, well,
Hi.
but yeah, like in Crash 4, like for example, the concept of alternate dimensions was supposed to be used in Twinsanity. It's only really used like to access the final level in Twinsanity, but in Crash 4, it's more used more thoroughly. Like
Even though they kind of. A lot of the dimensions aren't really dimensions, they're just level themes.
yeah, but like it's still more explored than Twinsanity.
Yeah.
Like outside of that, like I still haven't played Crash 4, so I can't speak. I'm speaking secondhand.
It's okay.
I'm out.
But yeah, like I guess that in that regard, yeah. But yeah, like there's an alternate timeline where '06 was finished. It probably wasn't even like the best game ever, but it was like considered a good successor and follow up and return to form to the adventure formula. Sonic was considered
Have y'all played Project P06, by the way? I heard that was really good.
Not yet. I'm still waiting for it to progress more before I play it.
Probably just too laggy on my machine anyway, so I don't even attempt it.
I could probably run it. I don't have a beast per se, but my computer manages to run a lot of things that I imagine it probably shouldn't, so I could probably handle it. But yeah, like there's an alternate timeline where '06 was like actually finished. It probably got like an 86 out of 10. It was considered a pretty good game. At least it was better than Shadow the Hedgehog. Even though I don't think Shadow.
86 out of 10. Even if 06 was finished, I'm not even sure about that. A lot of Sonic games were in quality. Even Adventure 2 got a 7 to 3 when it was re-released.
Which makes no sense to me.
Yeah, but that was only when it was re-released, wasn't it?
Like that doesn't even.
Well, technically, it was Adventure 2 Battle.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure how much you want to call that a re-release.
Like
it was re-released like 6 months after the original relaunched.
The weird thing about that too is that Adventure 2 Battle is almost strictly better than the original Dreamcast release. So I don't even like that one review that rated it so low. Like blows my mind. It doesn't make any sense to me. A lot of people use it as like evidence that like oh game was always wrong and always bad. I'm just like, what?
Well, if I'm gonna play devil's advocate, if you look at the Metacritic scores, the important thing to remember is Adventure 2 is way more. Battle has way more reviews, and that probably skews the score a bit lower. Or rather, it skews it a bit higher because. But that's my point. Is that like you have to remember that that Adventure 2 only has like 6 reviews on Metacritic. The original, so it probably makes it score higher. While Adventure 2 Battle has like 20 or something, it's a very different amount of reviews that people forget to like keep. Even Sega forget to like keep track of because they're only interested in that one number. So
Yeah.
that kind of tells more of a story.
Yeah, I suppose that's true too.
And it's like a larger demographic. Like just in general, because the GameCube was
Much more popular than Dreamcast.
Yeah. Well, like also Sonic Adventure 2 was like what one of like the top 5 best-selling GameCube games. I think it was one of the like I at least remember like when I was like on the internet in like the early 2000s. It was like generally like extremely highly rated at least.
Mm-hmm.
So like because like I hear all the time about how like oh no even back in the day the game was divisive and it's like that just doesn't.
I don't believe so.
I don't
time.
think so either.
Like that doesn't make sense. Like I definitely remember being on the internet in like 2008, 2006, like even 2005, and I remember like generally like I mean there was 2 rules on the internet at the time. It was one, you don't go to dedicated Sonic boards because they're horrible. So I never did. So maybe that's probably it. On the dedicated Sonic boards, it was probably divisive, but like everywhere else, it wasn't. That's probably what happened.
What I remember being on the internet back then was during the time of its release, at least Battle's release was the internet saying was people complaining about the camera. I don't remember any other complaints besides the camera being a problem. I know it sounds weird to say like because you don't see people complain about the camera much. But that used to be the biggest problem with the games.
Yeah, like I remember back in the day, people used to complain about like the adventure games cameras, and I'd always be confused about it. And then I remember, and like those were complaints I would see like in like 2009 or so, like later on, like 2011, around that time. And every time that I would look up videos that brought it up, generally they were doing something on purpose to mess with the camera. So I'd always be confused. But like recently I went back and played the game and I was like, no, there are parts in the game that do have camera issues. Although most of the time I find like people's complaints about the camera tend to come down to them doing things to like make the camera frustrating for themselves. For example, like sometimes people complain that like the camera snaps back to where you're supposed to go. And to that I say like, yeah, the camera's pointing where you're supposed to go. Go there.
I think it's because they're trying to play it like
they're trying to play like a Mario 64 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, like yeah, those games definitely have camera, but I would say they don't have that like particularly more camera issues than most other games that came out around that time. Like I'd say Sunshine has about as bad a camera as Sonic Adventure 2. I'd say like
I don't even think Sunshine has a bad camera. I never even noticed that. I love Adventure 2, but I'm not really sure if I would give it that much.
I find the camera in I don't even think the camera in Sunshine's bad, but I find there's situations where the camera gets caught on things more in Sunshine for me personally, more than Sonic Adventure 2. But that might also just be that I'm more familiar with Sonic Adventure 2. I don't know. I mean, when I had Sonic Adventure 2 and Sunshine, I played Sonic Adventure 2 more. So,
And 64's camera wasn't.
Oh, 64 camera is dog shit, and anyone who defends it in the freaking show. But
Well, it has like 20 different camera options. Not 20, but it has a lot of camera options.
like the people who unironically defend 64's camera, like those are the real nostalgia blind. Like I remember still being a kid and playing 64 the first time, and even then I hated its camera. Like, I mean, then again, like, and this might be a controversial opinion, but
I've never loved Mario 64.
Huh. Because in my opinion, 64 is probably kind of the best 3D Mario, in my opinion.
you can't agree with that. I mean,
I would say Odyssey, because that one I love.
I can respect that opinion. In general, like, I guess you could call me a Mario classicist. Like, if you want to compare us to, like, the Sonic fans, like, I'd be, like, the Mario classicist. Like, I just not liked 3D Mario games that didn't play, like, classic Mario games.
What do you think of the new series then? What do you think of the new series then?
Like, my opinion on, like, the new Super Mario Bros. Games is the one on DS is great, love it. The one
And
on
the rest
Oh
are.
no, I mean the literal, the one that's literally called New Super Mario Bros.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
That's
The first
the
one.
DS
Oh, sorry.
Wii one.
Yeah,
I forgot it's on the DS.
Yeah, the first one was on DS. Love it. One of the best Mario games ever made, in my opinion. The one on Wii is good for what it is, although I still prefer the DS version because I prefer its power-ups. Then after that, they just kept making it.
Because that's when the sterilization hit.
Yes. That's when, like, I'd say, like, Wii was when, like, it started to feel sterile, but I could at least tolerate it because it at least justified its existence with, like, the cooperative element.
Did you know New Super Mario Bros. 2 started out as like it was just called New Super Mario Bros. Gold Edition?
Yes. It was
Yeah,
like,
and
Just like a port of the game, kind of.
yeah, it was just done so that like new game devs at Nintendo could just show off their level design skills.
It was literally like a shovelware game. Like, New Super Mario Bros. 2 is like the first time that when a Mario game was announced, I actively, like, I was literally just there, like, I said, like, out loud, seriously, when I was looking at it. And that
The
doesn't-
gimmick is that it's easy.
It's easy, and you pick up a lot of coins. You can pick up a lot of coins. And the goal of the game is to pick up a bunch of coins. And you can turn other things into coins.
Brand new gimmick, never done before.
Did you like Mario Maker then?
Oh my god, like, my relationship with Mario Maker is mixed. I love Mario Maker so much. So much. But I can't play it.
Is it weird that I like the first one better than the second one?
No, it's not. It's not weird at all. Most people feel that.
I think it's weird actually.
I do.
Aside from like the Mii costumes and wanting an endless.
Because the
wanting
first
a-
game is just way more intuitive. Like, the way you make stages is just...
Yeah, what I hear is that a lot of people who like the first one better, it comes down to two things. One, the first one, even though it had less options, it was more simple and straightforward. So it was
And
like, go ahead.
you could actually customize your toolbar.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas the second I was gonna bring up the second one is that because the second one kind of like the designers decided this is the ultimate setup. There's like not as much freedom to like set things up as you want to make it more comfortable for yourself. So everyone's just kind of funneled into learning a specific way to set up their tools. Anyway, back to my opinion of Mario Maker. I love level creators in general in games, and it makes me sad that I can't play Mario Maker because you need online for it. And I'm not paying for freaking online.
What do you say you need online for?
Because Mario Maker, the entire premise of the game, you need to use online.
Oh yeah, well Nintendo actually gave you like a discount on Mario on online when they was offering a discount
Yes,
beforehand.
they offered a discount for my ability to use my own internet.
You don't even have servers.
Oh, fuck no.
But hey, you get to play 30-year-old games.
Oh my god, I get to play ROMs that I already own. Oh, great.
Why didn't they like? Well, I know.
Okay, I
there
want to
was
ask you
some,
something. Oh, sorry,
Okay.
let you finish. Let you finish. Go ahead.
No, I was thinking like there were like maybe like 50 games from like the Super NES and then the NES, but I was just kind of like wondering why didn't they
Games, for example.
put more games in just like the virtual console. But then I kind of realized that at this point, like they're just kind of reintroducing the games back
Service. Yes,
to
that's-
us.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. Like, instead of putting the virtual console, they're doing that to encourage people to buy the online.
And even then, there's still like, did you see the new Fire Emblem thing? You
Yeah.
can buy the NES game.
Oh,
It's not
I mean,
part of the
what's
online thing.
What's the point of that? That's just so lame.
It's
Yep.
just
It's just lame. That's all it is. It's lame.
and it's also limited time. That's apparently a new standard.
Oh my
I don't like that part.
Especially since it's digital. Like, you know, I could tolerate the idea of a limited physical item, but once it's digital, like, that's literally you deliberately removing it from the storefront. Like, why? That's dumb. That's like if I upload an image onto 4chan, and then just so no one else could download it, I delete my post. Like, why? Just leave it there.
Artificial scarcity,
Yep.
so that people will panic buy it.
Yep.
Didn't like
And-
people like try to like sell like their phone as had like Flappy Bird at one point.
Yeah, I remember, like, there were people that were selling their PS3s with
Angry
Sky-
Birds too.
because Scott Pilgrim got removed. from the
Oh
score,
yeah, that did happen.
which depresses me because I never got to play Scott Pilgrim, even though I love that series.
Well, isn't it
Well,
back?
it's being released. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
being
it's-
released.
It is.
And I jumped for joy when I saw that. But it's only digital as well, which also makes me sad because it means we can have a repeat. But you bet your ass I'm gonna download that shit because fuck. But yeah, anyway, you were saying earlier?
Me?
Yeah, no, yes?
Are you talking about Hat?
Our lovely Texan friend.
Yes, Hat.
Yeah, what's going on? What did you say about me? Sorry, I'm playing Hades while y'all talking. What did y'all say?
You said you had something to talk about earlier.
Oh, no, I completely forgot about it. Well, if that was the case, I'm sorry, I completely forgot.
Oh,
You know what? I
Uh,
kind of can I bring up a topic?
Go ahead.
You know what? I kind of wish. Why is it that despite bringing back all the levels, they never bring back all the locations in Sonic games? Like they bring back levels, but not locations. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I guess.
Like when was the last time we've seen South Island?
Yeah,
Oh.
I agree. Yeah, like you're gonna bring back Green Hill. At least like contextually say like, yo, we're back in South Island. Man, it's been a while since we've been here. Remember the time that Eggman tried to hit us with a wrecking ball? You know, like, or be like, hey, remember like that was that pole? Or, like, you know, do stuff like, or like, hey, we could run the tornado down here like we did when we were on West Side Island that one time.
That's one thing I like Crash games doing, because it's always set. The locations are set
Like
in stone.
Insanity Island and stuff. So it's like, yeah, it's like, oh, this is
The three
core-
islands.
Yeah. And like that's the thing. Like the early 2000 Sonic games did stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
you had like Central City was a recurring place. You know, like yeah, they were there in Sonic Adventure 2. They were there in Sonic Battle. You know, they were there.
There's
in
Shadow the
Saturday.
Hedgehog.
You know, it was a recurring location that they went to. Like even Green Hill Zone itself is on a green island on the mini map that's very clearly supposed to be South Island because it's at the south of the map. You know, like
And wasn't Sonic 2 8-bit on South Island?
I don't know.
I think it was, and that's why Green Hill was there.
I suppose that would make sense.
But now it's just
Like even like Sonic Adventure 1, like you know, you went back to Ice Cap because we went to Angel Island.
yeah. I like when games do stuff like that.
Yeah. It's like you get to be like, oh shit, like yeah, that's what we were here before. It doesn't even have to be like a literal copy of the level. It just it's nice to know like these places exist somewhere in relation to each other.
Well, I remember the games used to do that. Something I like is that even though Sonic Adventure has reused stages, they're kind of like different. Like technically, Sonic Adventure is like one of the first games to do reused stages because you technically get all the you get Ice Cap again. But that was just done for like world building purposes, which is nice. I wouldn't even hate so much if there was like a literal in-universe reason to go back to South Island.
Yeah.
I guess Forces does this, but then Forces kind of just like Forces actually almost does it by trying to have Sonic start out in Green Hill. And it's sort of promising until you get to like Chemical Plant and the game just kind of just
Yeah, just
I'm not sure. Does Forces don't do this well? I'm actually kind of confused because Forces feels very half-assed about it.
Yeah, that's
Even though
just Forces in general. It's like you could tell like that's the kind of thing they were going for. Like if Forces was like a quote-unquote finished game, I suppose. Because that's a weird
Well,
thing.
not just finished game, but like
Yeah,
I wish they were like more, but I wish they actually picked places that were just not like Green Hill Zone and Chemical Plant. That was our first problem, is that the locations were just awfully convenient. Like in Sonic Adventure, I'm not saying Ice Cap was a hated level, but it wasn't like the most popular Sonic level. Yet it was picked because we're on Angel Island. We have to have that level return.
Because I remember when Generations was a thing, people were like, "Put Ice Cap in. Where's Ice Cap?" Because people really liked Ice Cap. I remember that being a thing.
Never mind then.
Ice Cap
Are
is
they
my Ice Cap
like the Sonic 3 version?
yeah, like
Yeah.
Ice Cap. Yeah, Ice Cap
Oh.
is my favorite level from Sonic 3, whereas Flying Battery is my favorite from Sonic and Knuckles. So like, yeah, I would have really loved to see Ice Cap, especially since it's the perfect level to have like the whole classic versus modern thing. we have a classic and modern version in.
Well, we actually have a classic
yeah.
mod on Angel Island Zone too. We technically have a classic mod on Angel Island Zone too.
Yeah, but like a lot of people, but also because
So it's really Sky Sanctuary. Sorry, I'm gonna stop talking now.
but like it's fine. But like also just Generations also people like criticize it for having not that good stage variety. Like there's no ice level in the game, Like
It's
Seaside
like
is
4
water.
cities, but cities are popular.
And like that's the thing is you could tell that, and I always bring this up, like you can tell that the levels they chose them mostly because they were popular more so than because they thought they would make interest.
I'm still mad they didn't bring back Egg Fleet. Egg
Oh
Fleet
my
should have been the
God.
heroes level.
I am
That'd be
freaking pissed they
fun.
did not bring Egg Fleet. What the fuck? Why did
Did
they not?
Seaside Hill for the 10th time.
Oh my god! As if that level wasn't reused enough. Jesus Christ. Generations is the game where they reused Green Hill and Seaside Hill. Think about that.
And the 3DS version has Mushroom Hill. And Emerald Coast. And Green Hill.
The 3DS version's a whole other thing because they should have used handhelds for that.
They did for
Yes.
one stage.
Didn't they have like barely a budget at all for that?
They had barely the time frame. It was like 8 months to make that game.
Yeah.
They did in fact use one stage though from the handheld game. Sonic
Well,
Rush.
well, technically two because Tropical Resort is based off the DS version.
Well, actually, the classic stage is based on the DS version, but the modern stage is based on the Wii version.
Really?
Yeah, that's what
Okay.
I've told. That's what I've been seeing from it. That's what I saw from it.
Well, I only played through Generations 3DS like once, so.
Yeah. I 100%ed it. I did all the missions. I shook my 3DS to get play coins to buy the missions. Because that's the only way you can get them.
Yeah. I remember playing Colors DS more than Generations 3DS, so. But yeah, I don't know why Egg Fleet. Well, I know why Egg Fleet wasn't used, but it was a mistake. We don't have I mean, I guess you could argue Sky Sanctuary, but we don't have a fortress level in Sonic Generations. Like, that's like an iconic thing in Sonic games, the flying fortress levels. You had Wing Fortress, Flying Battery, like we had the
Egg Carrier.
like we don't have one in Generations. Like Egg Fleet was perfect for that. But no, we can't have that because.
And then in the 3DS version, it appears in the Egg Emperor fight.
Yes, like it's in.
And
the
it doesn't get its own stage.
Oh my god! Like we have the Egg Emperor, but not Egg Fleet.
Or a hero level in general.
Yeah, like
And it's the modern section and not in the adventure section.
yeah. What's up with that? Like the way they they set up like the levels in that game was weird. Like you had like 3 classic levels, and you had like 2.
All the classic level layouts are copy pasted for classic Sonic.
I mean, like all the levels in the game are copy pasted from the original games. Like even like classic Emerald Coast is just
Yeah.
a version of Emerald Coast.
Yeah, and then what would have been cool? If they did Water Palace in the console version, but Act 1 for Classic was Water Palace, but then Act 2 for Modern was Windmill Isle.
That would have been interesting.
And it's because they look identical pretty much.
Yeah,
Almost.
I remember when the levels were first leaked, everyone thought that Water Palace was Windmill Isle.
And then there's Blue Coast from Rivals 2, which is also very similar.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like, everyone's mentioned how the 3DS version should have had handheld levels. That seems like a no-brainer to me. Missed opportunity.
Oh, and did you know there's a remix of Emerald Beach from Sonic Battle that's completely different from the console one?
What?
Yeah, it's like an electric guitar remix of it, and it's only in the unlockables. And you can't even use it in levels.
Why wasn't this used?
And it's just called Sonic Stage. That's the name of the song. Like, it doesn't even say it's from Sonic Battle. The name of the song is just Sonic Stage.
Huh.
It's really weird.
What if what if they were going to have like a rival battle? You fight against like Emerald or Gemerald.
Maybe. Because all the other songs are just the originals.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah, like they definitely used like a lot of more like consistent recurring locations back then. Like, you know, obviously you had like Green Hill that did come back, but like generally they made an effort to like, oh yeah, they went back to South Island. Like Angel Island itself was a recurring element that came back. They would even if they didn't appear, they at least referenced past things. Like in Heroes, you know, when they're going through Flying Fortress, you know, like characters will talk about like, oh yeah, this is like billions of times bigger than the 8 carrier and stuff. You know, like when Shadow is like going down in Egg Fleet and he's seeing the sky, and it's just like we were just talking about how like how they're so close to outer space, and then Shadow's just like, space. Did you say space? Like there was an active effort of like keeping integrity of continuity. Like nowadays the level.
Hey, Shadow the Hedgehog the game didn't that do that sometimes too?
I mean, it kind of had to, because it's kind of the entire thing the game's built on. Like, you know, you go back to the
Sonic
Ark.
Adventure 2 too.
Exactly. You know, you go back to the Ark. You know, you're in the Westopolis, which is in Central City. There's a level called Central City. It's literally.
Isn't it funny that Angel Island appears in all 3 of the advanced games?
Yeah, because they had to justify why Knuckles is there.
Like, you just go through Angel Island in one level in Advance 2, and then just suddenly Knuckles.
Exactly.
Just so that Knuckles can be there. And now they just put him in.
Like, I respect the advanced games for at least bothering to try and justify why Knuckles is there, because it's like.
But it does feel a little bit forced.
I mean, it would have in a more complicated game. It would have, but Sonic Advanced's premise is so simple that I can't be mad at it.
Yeah, I guess.
Especially Advance 3, since the Master Emerald is actually implemented in the story.
I'm mainly talking about Advance 2 specifically.
And Advance 2 is like literally like you have the 2 acts on the mini map. It's like, oh yeah, look, this is Angel Island. It's a giant island. And then you find Knuckles there. But like, yeah, like for me, like the premise of it is so simple that I can't be really mad at it. So I actually respect that they bothered to justify it at all.
And then Sonic Runners, they actually explained where it happens to that Master Emerald.
Oh yeah, didn't they say like, oh yeah, Knuckles just leaves some animals guarding it or some shit?
Yeah, he just leaves it in like a volcano area on the island.
I don't know.
And then it gets stolen, and then Omochao guards it while Knuckles goes on adventures.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Omochao and the Flickies.
Like, I don't know how I feel about that, but it's something at least. Why it's in the mobile game is beyond me. Sega works.
Yeah, they did that a few times actually.
Yeah, like with the Wisps, for example. Like, oh yeah.
And then they went back to the location of Secret Rings.
Wait, what?
Yeah, there's an event that takes place. Like they're on the Lost Hex, and it's like, hey, look at this door. Let's go through it. And then boom, they're in the Arabian Nights.
Oh.
Yeah, and then it's revealed that that's all there, and also King Eggman kidnaps the King Shahryar, who looks identical to him.
Wait, so like the Arabian Nights is on the Lost Hex?
Apparently.
What even is the Lost Hex? Does the mobile game explain that?
It's there.
Okay, Ian Flynn.
They have all the opportunity to expand, like both, like the Lost Hex and Lost World.
Yeah, like I honestly believe that like at least 40%, maybe even 60% of people who like don't like the Zeti, which includes me, I believe like at least 40 to 60% of them would probably be okay to even liking them if they just bothered to explain what the hell the Lost Hex was.
It's like I'm just kind of like thinking like, cause
You know what's funny? They've done it in like one line. They could have like, oh, it's a small planet above the planet, just like Little Planet.
Yeah, they could have easily did that. And like, oh, it's existed for thousands of years, and the Zeti once fought against the Echidnas in the Master Emerald fights. Easy. There. Hire me, Sega. And then like, oh, you know, during the fight, like the Lost Hex was like vanished into the sky. Yeah, easy.
Well, even then, because Little Planet's just a planet that's in the sky. You could just say that Sonic's world just has, or Earth, or the planet just has small planets floating above it.
Yeah, you could literally say that like once every this amount of time, like the Lost Hex appears as a phenomenon in Oversonic.
Because like until Forces, like most of the time you're just kind of like away from like the planet, from the main planet. So it's like I know like people get like really angry and like annoyed.
Wait, we're doing Two Worlds thing? Oh, that's not
grassy field planet.
No, all I'm just trying to say is that like I know people get upset about like dismissing anything past 2010, but like I don't think you.
I'm not like that. I don't dismiss things past 2010. I more am just willing to be more critical of it in observing the things that I happen to find to be flaws.
They introduced the most iconic reoccurring location, Grassy Field. It appears in Colors and Generations and Lost World.
Part of me still chooses to believe that like a lot of like what we believed to be canon in the story is still there. It's just the devs are being skittish about actually showing any of it to us. Like even in Forces, it's like, you have Team Dark. You know, they're doing a recon. Who are they doing recon for? It has to be Gun. Like who else could it be, right? It can't be.
I guess what I'm trying to say is like I don't. Some people say like it should all be scrapped, but I don't think it should be scrapped.
No, I don't agree with that. I'm very much of the Ian Flynn mentality of just fix it and integrate it back into everything instead of just trying to say because that's a big issue in the Sonic fan base. Too many Sonic fans, like when something doesn't quite appeal to them or they see a flaw with it, their immediate reaction is scrap all of this. This is all
you don't even need like a reboot or anything. Some people say, "Oh, do a reboot," but you don't really do.
Oh no, I was about to say we have like a billion reboots, but
you could just say this happened, but.
Just explain it. You can just explain it with additional material. Add a new subplot that better integrates it into the rest of the continuity. Damn.
I don't want to mention Crash again, but the Crash mobile game is doing that.
Yeah.
Because it takes place after the events of Mind Over Mutant, but all the characters are back in their classic designs. It was just a style change for the sake of the game.
Yeah.
Do Crash fans get really upset about like the idea of like mobile games, especially like something that important is thrown into a mobile game instead of like an actual game?
I imagine they're probably just as baffled about it as Sonic fans are, but at the same time, because the Crash series has been dormant for so long, they're probably just kind of taking whatever they can get.
Yeah.
Like for them, it's just kind of like, hey man, like this is the Crash brand actually like up and running again. I'll take it, kind of thing.
And the only reason they brought it back is because Skylanders was dying.
Fucking Activision, I hate it.
Because they say, because Activision said they need a family game once every year.
Oh my God.
And since Skylander wasn't selling anymore, they said, oh hey look, we have these IPs, let's use them.
Fucking Activision. I hate that company so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, like honestly, like if they were to just because I'm not against the idea of like introducing new recurring villains into the Sonic series. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Eggman and I like the idea that he's the main bad guy, that he should be like the main recurring bad guy. But I don't have a problem with the idea of more lower tier bad guys that also are recurring to spice things up. Like, if you want to like have like the Zeddy, Zavok and the Zeddy like are reoccurring bad guy. I'm on board with the idea. Just flesh it out. Just better integrate them into the That's why I like Gun so much, because that's what they did with the Gun. They introduced them and they introduced them as a recurring element in the series. Like now we have a faction that's an authoritarian force that Sonic is still going to oppose whenever they happen to be in his way. But
although after Adventure 2, they were just mainly just good.
Yeah.
Except when it appeared in Rush, with zero explanation.
Yeah, it's like they're good, like that's the thing. Like they're good, but even like for example, like in I guess I mean if you want to count it, like in battle, we don't ever like see them up front. I don't think it's been a while since I played battle. When they're talked about in a negative way because like a
Are
lot of
they?
yeah, because a lot of the stuff that when they're mentioned is involved with like the past stuff involving gun with like the Ark of the Raid and shit.
Well, according to Shadow the Hedgehog, that was apparently gun has changed since then. Since the
Yeah.
guy.
Yes, but like how much have they changed when like they run a giant truck through San Francisco zone after a hedgehog?
Yeah.
And you know, put him in jail and shit and all this crap. You know, like I still get the like. Don't get me wrong. Like, I don't think that gun is bad. Like no, I think some people that go as far as to say like, oh yeah, gun is bad because the military is evil. Vive la révolution. No, gun is obviously a good force, but like you still get the idea that they're authoritarian, that they're willing to like push a bit too far to do what they think is good.
Well, Sonic's more of a freedom.
Exactly. So like that still leaves room for like Sonic to like go oppose them if you just write a situation like that. Like that's like kind of how I feel like they should handle it. Like if they want to make like a future game where like you want to have a less contrived reason for Sonic and Shadow to fight. It's just you write it so like Gun has a certain objective and it happens to oppose what Sonic's doing. So Shadow now is like poised to have to like confront Sonic even though he doesn't do it. No, that makes sense.
Honestly, I know it's kind of weird, but I like the idea that Shadow isn't 100% working for Gun.
No, like that's I've never got the idea that he's like 100% in service of Gun. It's always more just.
And you know what's funny? They never mention it in 06. They don't work for Gun. They work for the president specifically.
In 06, there's a NPC you talk to where he mentions that Shadow did a test when he became an agent.
Oh, well, because Shadow saved Rouge because he said it was a request from the president.
Which is in line with like how Rouge was like sent from the president. So
yeah, because that's how SA2 works. Because the president and GUN aren't.
Well, they are. Here's the weird thing about that. Like, I know there's a lot of debate about it, but like from what I understand, the idea is that Gun works for the president, but they're still their own force. So like
they're
they're still
United Nations. They're
Nations with an S.
Yeah.
So like the idea is that like just like any kind of like government affairs thing, like even though they're supposed to do what the president does, they're still gonna want to do their own thing. So
because the name implies they aren't just for the United Federation.
Well, that's the thing. Like the United Federation seems to be like the world government, even though they reside over their own personal nation. Like it's kind of like how America. Exactly, it's like how America's military basically like acts like the whole world thing. So it's like even though gun technically like the United Federation's government, they are still like responsible for like going and keeping the peace in other countries, for example. Like that's the implication I got. So like how I understand is that basically like while Gun is still in service of the president, they still have their own their own incentive to kind of do their own thing and like not tell the president certain information and vice versa. Because so like for example, like let's say like the Gun wants certain things, like maybe they want like access to like weapons or stuff, like maybe they'll like fund the project without the president knowing, or like maybe they'll like bribe certain parties or something without the president's knowledge, or maybe like when they're given funds they'll use it for things that the president didn't allow them to, for example. Like this,
or the other way around, because the president asks Rouge to be a double agent for Eggman and GUN doesn't know that.
Exactly. So, like the idea I got is that like Rouge is technically affiliated with Gun, but she's not working for Gun during SA2. She's acting as a double agent under the president. So Gun doesn't actually know that she's like working for the president during the entire game at all.
Yeah.
Which is why, when she invades into Security Hall, they don't just be like, hey, it's okay, it's me. It's like, no, like she's not even supposed to be there.
And a lot of people don't really understand that from what I've seen.
Like that's a huge thing when it comes to SA2 stories. Like I feel like a lot of the confusion with its plot has more to do with people making videos with what they believe to be criticisms of its story, and that ends up confusing people in of itself, as opposed to like people not understanding.
Effect.
Sorry?
Like a domino effect.
Yeah, like I feel like there's more misinformation about SA2's story than there is actual confusion about its story. Like,
Because
I see like more like common myths that's like when I think of them, like, why would anyone think that? And then I end up looking and I find videos where people say it. I'm just like, oh,
Like,
so that's what.
like the shadows based on the mural thing, right?
Yeah,
Like that's not a stated fact. That's
No.
still just a theory.
yeah, like
Yeah.
it's a very, it's one that I find very hard to like disagree with. But yeah, there's nothing hardcore that's said about it.
I think that's what happens with a lot of people. It's that, for I guess for most people, they struggle to like see like major connections, and it kind of feels like the fans of the franchise, kind of like rely heavy on like theories. Well, like unconfirmed things that isn't like
I'd say
I
it's
guess
less.
explained.
I'd say it's less that, and it's more just a lot of people will take secondhand knowledge for granted that's presented to them by other figures that they consider reputable.
Well, yeah. Well, I guess, but I mean, I don't know if I really like agree. I guess maybe so, because the thing is that my thought is that like most people don't really think that a lot of like the games are kind of like connected. It's just kind of something that you just kind of like pick up and play, and then just that's really.
And a part of it was SA2's story was partly intentionally a little bit open, like with the Ultimate Lifeform thing.
Well, like that's the thing. Like to my knowledge, like yeah, there was definitely an element of like Maekawa wrote it to be like he wanted like players to like think about it and put the pieces together. But there was also a part of it of it just the game was just kind of rough. Like I think there was an interview where Maekawa mentioned how like he didn't get to like put absolutely everything that he wanted into the story.
Yeah, he said he would, if he could do one thing, he would include the cutscenes that got removed.
Yeah, exactly. So like there's like I get the impression that like SA2's more open-ended nature is in part because it kind of had to be, because there wasn't room to put all of the information, so instead they had to like leave clues in the game to put it together.
But I do think that those clues do kind of help it.
Oh no,
Like-
it definitely feels like ultimately makes a more interesting game because it makes it more topical and it's more interesting to kind of think about it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree. As opposed to it just kind of all being told to you, like now there's like a thing to discuss and think about. It's kind of like the same appeal that like games like Undertale have.
Like I know that people get pissed off about that, but sometimes just a little bit of a nudge kind of helps.
And I'm speaking as someone who like a lot of like the deeper things of SA2 I didn't even catch until like I want to say
Yeah, that's what I was gonna like say. Like I feel like a lot of people maybe didn't get it like at first when they were like 10 or 12 or whatever.
But like a lot of it is stuff that like even looking back I asked myself, how didn't I catch it when I was like, when did I play SA2? I was probably 11, 9, 11, something like that. Like there's a lot of stuff where I look at it, I'm like, how didn't I catch it? And I imagine a good amount of it has to do with like SA2 was a lot of people's first Sonic game. And it also doesn't help that the plot in prior games was downplayed a lot. So let's say that you did play Sonic 1, 2, and 3. You probably didn't even think there was a story because the manuals like downplayed a lot, and if that's assuming you read the manuals at all. You probably just thought it was Hedgehog game where you run fast and go through levels like Mario. So a lot of the story stuff is stuff that like you'd have to like not only go out of your way to read the manuals, but have access to the original manuals. And then after only then would you be able to appreciate it as much. So it's like for example, like let's say SA2 is your first Sonic game. Well, like you're not gonna immediately make anything of like the statement about how like the core is the shrine of the Master Emerald. Like you don't even know what that means. Like you don't even know what that means. And like let's say you did play Sonic 3. Let's assume that you even beat Sonic 3, because that's another thing a lot of people bring up. Like, How many?
One thing I think maybe might have helped with it is the scene where Knuckles and Rouge, they were at a Master Emerald shrine.
Oh no, that's not a shrine. That's assuming.
I'm saying if they were, it would have been like easier.
Yeah, like if they showed like a scene like where Rouge initially steals the Master Emerald, for example. Like if we see like Knuckles is at the Master Emerald shrine from SA1. Yeah, that would definitely help.
Well, even then, you could have just put a shrine on the thing because the desert area is supposed to be on Angel Island, right?
No, it's just that Knuckles was chasing Rouge.
Are you sure? Because according to TSR, I don't know if that counts, but according to TSR, it's the same place as Sandopolis.
Who the heck is TSR?
Team Sonic Racing.
What?
Because it's the same area. Because you see King Boom Boo, you see the same. It's the same location.
Interesting, but that doesn't make sense unless you want to believe that like all of that desert area on the SA2 map is just a part of Angel Island.
Yeah, because it fell.
But then Angel Island would have to be like several times bigger than the actual continent. That doesn't make sense.
Because it's at a coast, isn't it?
Like, let me get the SA2 map. Wait, can I even like link anything in this?
Yeah, you can. I'll save it.
SA2 map.
But we've been going
And
on for
I'm not even sure if it's to scale like correctly because
I mean, like they put a lot of thought into this map. I'm pretty sure it's meant to be to scale. Like,
because Metal Harbor is huge.
Yeah, sure. I don't see the problem with that.
Like, I mean, the individual ships are like the sizes of building, but we are probably reaching a limit, right? It's probably
like I don't know, like there seems to be like a lot, like if it wasn't meant to be to scale, like there seems to be like a lot of empty space here in between like the desert area that they really didn't need to put there if they didn't want to. So like I get the impression that like like this is meant to be like just a large desert area.
Are you gonna link something?
Yeah, give me a second.
But as I was saying, we're at like 2 hours and 5 minutes, so you might want to
close up.
Close up, you know.
All right.
Yeah, we should probably maybe start wrapping it up.
Yeah. Just let's see the map and then we'll point at it and be like, yeah.
I will ever I do this. So like where do I drop it?
Just put it in the chat where you were typing before.
Can I do that? Like I send the link. Okay.
Yeah. I'll pull it up. I'll save it for the description too.
That looks so dopey.
It's a big link.
But yeah, like it's a huge desert to just be Angel Island. Especially like if we want to like, let's say we're gonna say Angel Island scales relatively to like South. And South is represented as that small island at the bottom of the map, which does actually have the general shape of like how South Island was shaped in the Sonic 1 Game Gear version. Like the proportions are. If you want, like actually here, I think this is a better version of the map.
I mean, I'm like, are you looking at like the dolphin forms, or is it you like the wrong thing?
Oh, did the link give you the wrong thing? I guess I hate when links do that.
Yeah, it's the dolphin forms. Yeah, this seems like the right one.
Yeah, is that better?
Oh, it's loading. It's loading in. But it does say map in the URL, so I'm guessing it's probably the right one.
Yeah.
Jeez, why are you taking so long? Oh, here we go.
Yeah, like you can see South Island is there, like above, like in the middle, like if you go to the left of Prison Island, like that's obviously supposed to be South Island. Like it's even shaped like how like it looks like in the Game Gear version, like the general geometry of it.
I mean, Angel Island's supposed to be like really big, isn't it?
But I
Because it's
wouldn't-
like,
but
even
I
if you
wouldn't-
compared the zones, South Island is like,
South Island is what, 8 zones?
Angel Island's like huge. South Island's 6.
6. Like yeah, you have Green Hill, Marble, Labyrinth, Starlight, Spring Yard,
Spring Yard,
Scrap Brain.
Scrap Brain.
Yeah, SA1 had a
Well,
few.
they-
And not only that, the levels themselves are longer.
Maybe we should start on.
So if you
more
want to get
apps.
technical, Angel Island could be like way bigger.
But even then, I find it hard to believe that like just Sandopolis, relatively speaking, would be the size of all of Central City.
Yeah, let's start.
Especially if we go
Wait.
Especially if we go based on like SA1.
You got some? It's now pro.
Well, Sandopolis does have Lava Reef under it and Hidden Palace.
I mean, sure, but that would be
All of that.
I mean, sure, but that would be under it. It wouldn't be like.
And if at the intro to Sonic and Knuckles, like the title screen, it's like pretty big. It's huge.
In the entrance of Sonic and Knuckles, it doesn't look much bigger than Westside Island did in the intro of Sonic 2.
No, I mean like, because if you look at it, you got there, and then there's the canyon thing above. Like you got that. Like if you want to get technical, it could be the desert, and then like, you know how there's the lagoon stage next to the desert? That could be the grassy area in front of Sandopolis, and then the canyon could be Pumpkin Hill. Because if you look at the Sonic and Knuckles title screen, that could work, maybe.
Yeah.
But that's kind of stretching it.
And like, then where is the Mystic Ruins? Like, remember, like that was the whole thing. Angel Island was a part of the Mystic Ruins.
Let me try to get an image.
Like that just seems like way too big to me. Like at that point, like Angel Island itself isn't an island; it's a continent, and that continent itself would have to be bigger than the landmass it was attached to, which is just kind of not believable for me at that
It
point.
could be like a really big island. It could be like Hawaii, or like
And
Poland.
like sure, but like the whole lore behind like Angel Island is that it was a part of the Mystic Ruin that was detached because that was the part with the Master Emerald on it. So like I find it hard to believe that like the small part of Mystic Ruin stayed behind and the rest of the continent just flew up into the sky and then no one could find it. Like I don't know that maybe I don't know. This just seems a bit too much for me at least.
Yeah, I can understand.
Yeah, because I linked the
Oh yeah,
Sonic
and
and
the
Knuckles.
pyramids are right there.
It's kind of stretched, but yeah. So anyway, I think we should probably wrap it up.
Yeah. Do you have anything? Last words?
2D Mario, 3D Mario was a mistake. 3D Land is the best Mario.
Crash and Sonic are both better than Mario. I'm saying it.
Yeah, I agree.
Like as series, they're better.
I agree. Do I think Mario as a series? Yeah, it's hard for me to say because
We'll
I
discuss it.
I like. Yeah, I definitely think.
Yeah, I'll see you guys later.
Later.
Okay, see ya.
Adios.
Bye.